Prepare for battle! All men, to the wall! Defend the wall! Over here! Return to your post! Send these foul beasts into the abyss!
It feels appropriate because now I get to talk about these books, at least Eye of the World, with full spoilers. Episode 5 was bad, and it retroactively really hurts the previous episodes. Even worse than they already were, but we'll get into that in a minute. Anyway, allow me to bring in my guests. First, the always loquacious Dr. Crow.
Chirp, chirp, motherfuckers.
And
you ready to review?
Oh, go for it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, no, I was about to say bring in Dollface, but you go first.
I was just about to say, well, ready to review a really bad TV show.
No. Yeah. I should go oppose. I would say...
Oh, don't worry. It won't hurt me.
But it kind of does. A little bit.
Just a little. It's just a little pain.
Yeah. Probably not quite as bad as, say, Freddy Got Fingered. Since with Freddy Got Fingered, you have to deal with this.
I'm being creative? Now, if you'll excuse me, I still have some work to do. Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like some sausages? Daddy, would you like some sausage? Sausages, sausages.
What the fuck?
That's usually the reaction.
What the fuck? Bring in Dollface.
That is Starscream. Despite your treachery, I've allowed you to carry on this long because I took a certain delight in following your string of failures. But you finally become tiresome, predictable. You've hit rock bottom.
Hello, welcome to my TED Talk. In this essay, I will outline why Freddy Got Fingered is an underrated masterpiece of modern comedy.
I thought it was a masterpiece of Dada cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Underrated, not gonna lie. I feel like especially today, I feel like it's aged like remarkably well. You know, I feel like it's kind of proto meme humor, you know? Like I feel like there should be like a bass boosted re-release, but like in cinemas. It just released in cinemas and it's deep fried and bass boosted.
So Wheel of Time.
So, I should probably edit this and probably say something different. Since this is all about books,
I think we can still probably say what we think of it as a show.
the show
It sucks.
Yeah, yeah, it's extremely bland and mediocre. I would respect it a little bit more if it were like out and out trash.
If it was its own thing and it wouldn't have anything to do with Wheel of Time, it'd at least be a little bit better.
It's not corny enough for me to like just enjoy it as like the way you enjoy Legend of the Seeker, because like it's like corny and you can just be like, all right, adventures and shit and just, you know, corniness, but it takes itself so seriously while also being bad.
It's also rushed. It's also phenomenally rushed.
I mean, it doesn't feel like there's a sense of adventure in this adventure story.
Well, it's rushed,
Kinda.
but like it's rushed on things that matter, but then it takes loads of time on things that I don't give a shit about. Like whole fucking episode on like, okay, cool, okay, can we move on? Okay, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, I think we like universally we were just like episode 5 sucks.
It was awful.
Yeah, and it actually retroactively makes the previous 4 episodes worse than they were because it illustrates how fast the season has been going and how much material they've gone over.
It is both burnt and undercooked at the same time.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah. Yeah, that's an accurate assessment. I'm going to be releasing I think I have released the episode 5 reaction. We'll get to that. But we were when Nynaeve steps out from behind Loyal, we were just like, no, wait, no. No.
Yeah,
Oh.
we all just went, wait a minute. So Nynaeve is just here now? How'd she get out?
I need a fucking drip Goku meme of that. Like it's just, it's like coming from behind Loyal. It's just,
we'll get to that when we get to episode 5. Oh my god.
Ooh. Let's see. This works. Welcome, Space Oyster.
Sounds like a gas, baby. Bring it on.
Hello. Yes, I am a form of gas. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are we talking about?
Nothing
actually
important.
We've only been going for about 7 minutes.
Oh, okay. So a light EFAP. Very light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've kind of we've mainly just been talking about our opinions of the show as a show and then as an adaptation, but it's kind of been like it's way too fast. And it's in the wrong areas, and it's way too slow in the wrong areas, unfortunately.
Yeah, they cut out all the fluff at the first book, when you need all the fluff because it's fluffy.
Well, there is the possibility that they will put in Rand's talk with at least like Tam's crazy rambling in another episode.
And it'll probably be a flashback.
As a flashback.
Well, why this late into the first season?
Because they don't want to spoil who the Dragon Reborn is, even though that was never a mystery in the book.
That's not interesting. It's just
That's
like,
not
it's not an interesting mystery.
Boxy. It feels more mystery boxy.
Yeah, like I get the feeling that they wanted to set it up as a mystery box of, oh, who's the Dragon Reborn? Because that's the only way they could think of to get people to actually care.
It's just like, so what?
Well, then spend more time with each of the characters.
Yeah, like when I first read The Wheel of Time, I just really loved the concept of, oh, bad guys are interested in one of you for some odd reason. Like I never even made the connection to, oh, one of them's that Dragon Reborn thingy they'd mentioned at the very beginning.
It's okay for the audience to know the answer to the mystery and the characters don't yet.
Yeah.
It's just not that interesting of a mystery because what does it change? Like, okay, it's one of them. All right.
Yeah. Also,
all right.
It's also nice to be like, to like spot the foreshadowing for something and it's like you're in on the big reveal. Like I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV's Endwalker expansion, and at one point you start to get a very obvious hints about a mystery that was set up earlier on, and at one point one of the characters just casually mentions that mystery again, and it's like, oh yeah, it's this thing, and the other people are like, how'd you know? And she's like, it's pretty obvious once you got all the clues for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked seeing that because it was like, oh, I feel smarticle for figuring that out.
Yeah, like when Moraine gives us all the foreshadowing that we're going to need for Rand channeling when she's talking with Nynaeve, describing the effects of what channeling has on the body when you experience your first touching, and then Rand experienced all of them. You kind of don't notice on a first read, and then you at the end and you reread it, it's like, oh, they were giving me all this information in the beginning. Dang.
Yeah, like
so in the show we have one thing so far, which is the door, right? Nobody should be able to open that door. It's really heavy. It's really heavy door.
why did you let him keep hitting it? I mean, at that point, you should have just sliced him in the Achilles heel.
I can't remember who. I think it was Shad who said it, but that in that whole scene, that it's like the sword is treated as it's as if it's a gun. Like it's basically like if it was a gun, it would make a whole lot more sense. But she's like holding them up as if it's a gun, but it's a sword, And it's like, dude, she's not. You can just run away. Like she's not that. She's just. She's not that threatening, She's
They
not
don't
that
know
much
how
of a
weapons
threat.
work.
She also has a kind of a bit of a case of the crazy eyes near the end, which kind of, and like, I guess she's a little bit thirsty, I suppose.
Yeah, well,
Here's my question: why did she try to seduce Rand? Why not just lock him in the room when they slept and then?
Yeah, like they weren't on to her as being a dark friend until she told them, "Hey, I'm a dark friend."
It's not necessarily that they told him. She overplayed her hand. Her plan was just bad.
Oh,
Like,
but
yeah,
she
yeah,
did
all
that
she
because
could do,
Taviran or Taviran or however it's pronounced.
Tambourines. We'll call it tambourines for the show
Oh,
because they're certainly getting played like an instrument.
yep. So let's kind of get into some differences. I think like with leave takings, especially so one of the fundamental changes from the books to the show is the change of what is the mystery. In the book, the mystery is the Dark One is after these three boys. We do not know why. We just know that they were specifically the locations where they were at their family's farm, the Cawthon, the two family farms, the forge where one of them works, and the house, the Cawthon house.
Mm-hmm.
And those were attacked specifically, whereas most of the other areas in the town weren't attacked as bad.
Well, didn't they also burn down some random houses? But Maureen was able to figure out their interest in the three boys because the Cawthon and the blacksmith forge were targeted first.
Yeah. I think even Master Luhan says they went after the forge like I had gold and jewels in there.
Yeah. Which another big change. The big change is this one that I always make note is that they just removed the Luhans entirely.
Yeah.
And also it feels like everyone in the Two Rivers just lives in the same like semicircle. Like they're all just like like they all live on like a stage, like it's a stage play and they're all just like visible. You know what I mean?
Like in the live action Mulan.
Yeah. It's like they're all just there so that you can get them all in shot at once,
You know what? That's actually not an inaccurate assessment. If there's definitely some I actually think that Two Rivers should be at least like Emmons Field or the Two Rivers, whichever. I think that it should have been larger. I agree because like there's kind of rows and rows of at least like a few rows of houses. It's not like a circle.
But it shouldn't be that. It's like it just feels way too dense. It feels like there shouldn't be. It feels like they're all crowded around the Wine Spring Inn. You know what I mean? Like, whereas like when in the books when it's like, oh well, the what do you call it? The Ibarra house and the Cawthon house and whatever. That their like farms were attacked. That's a fair distance away from each other. You know what I mean? Like there's a fair like amount of like walking between those places. It's not like all in one camera shot.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like Rand just lives at the top of the hill or like on the other side of the hill. No, it feels like he lives a couple of farms down, like just far enough the way that he's not part of the town, but at the same time close enough to be part of the village.
It just feels like a facade, It just feels like one of those like old westerns where it's literally just a cardboard cut out, and there's actually no depth, to the town or whatever. It's just the front. You know?
It's just the front.
Another distinct change was removing the prologue of Eye of the World with the first dragon.
Yeah, I read a rumor that they want to do that later on as a flashback episode.
Bullshit. It's a bullshit idea.
I feel like you don't need a whole episode for it, you know.
I feel like this show is going to have a lot of problems with flashbacks later on.
I get the feeling it is probably going to do that too, since we had the month-long time skip.
Yeah, I do feel like these like the animated short things. I feel like they should have just had those as like pre-credits scenes instead of having them be separate. I feel like it would be better.
Animated shorts.
Yeah,
like animated, like,
and they're hidden.
Lore.
They're actually actually have to go through a lot of trouble to find it. Like you have to pause the episode, then you click on bonus content in the X-ray, and then you can see them.
They should have had.
Why would you do that? That barely works for video games. Why would you do that with a TV show?
Yeah, you got to do that as like the cold open to an episode before the opening credits, so that way people see it.
That would be so much better.
I tried putting them, and the worst part is I tried putting them up on YouTube, and I got a copyright strike. Like I tried to fight it, but it's like didn't really work. It was really frustrating.
And according to Space Junk, they're region locked,
which is really doubly frustrating because like I was getting comments like I got like 1,500 views in like 7 days.
They're like, what the fuck are these?
And like, and they were just like, wait, why have I not been able to find it? And it was fine. And then abruptly, Amazon just comes out with a copyright strike.
Oh my god.
Well, you see, if people had the context for the Wheel of Time, then they might realize that the show is actually shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can understand them not starting with the prologue, you know, because it is a little bit
crazy.
Well, if they started with the prologue, then people might not understand that Moraine is the main character.
Yeah.
That's the other
Moraine
thing.
really does feel like the main character in this show, doesn't she?
So the problem is they took out the mystery of, they added in the mystery of who is it? Who is the Dragon Reborn? What a mystery. But they took out the mystery of, can we trust this woman we've never met before who just so happens to have the solutions to these problems that just so happened to show up just when they showed up, basically. You know what I mean? So it's like there's so many legitimate reasons, like as when you're in their POV, you're in the country bumpkin POV, you're like, you know what? It is kind of sus, not gonna lie. She could be an imposter.
Well,
this red Aja is kind of sus.
Like, in the show, didn't Rand basically say, "Oh, should we trust her? Is she any better than what's chasing us?"
Yeah, but it's like we're in Moraine's POV, so like him saying that means that it doesn't do anything to the viewer. You know what I mean? Like, because we're like, yeah, we know we can trust her. You know what I mean?
Also didn't change anything about their dynamic.
You know?
No, it didn't.
I just think it takes.
Yeah, it's a fundamental shift from why is she doing this? Why is she doing this too? We know why she's doing this. We just don't know who specifically they're after. And apparently, so this really bugs me to this day. The first line of episode 4, when they're talking, like when they're the first one of the first scenes in the first episode. She says there are rumors of 4 Taviran in the Two Rivers, and I was just like, I immediately said, BS. No.
What do you
BS,
fucking mean?
no.
What?
What is a Taviran for the people who haven't watched this show?
They didn't
It's like,
explain
why would you hear rumors of it though? That's.
They even cut Loyal's exposition dump about Taviran, and they haven't explained it at all.
Like if she said like there are signs of Taviran in this area, you know what I mean? Like there are like. Well, you see, the kind of things that you look for, you know.
If she said there were signs of Taviran, that would make sense, more sense, then
yeah, I feel like
then they would have been writing better.
Like that would actually make sense. Rumors of Taviran is just like, why would you say that when that doesn't even that doesn't even make sense?
So for context, for those of you who have not read the books and have only watched the show, a Taviran is basically somebody who alters chance in the area around them and alters probability and act as a plot magnet.
Basically, fate warps around them to do so things happen to benefit them rather than them being a part of fate.
Well, it doesn't necessarily always benefit them per se, but it's basically like there are certain things that have to happen, and so they will be driven towards those things happening, even if that could be a thing that's kind of bad for them in some sense, but it will ultimately be like, okay, this has to happen for the plot kind of thing. So it's kind of a in-universe plot. It's not even plot armor, because it's not always like, oh, that means they'll get away unscathed, right? No, but it's like sometimes it's like, no, this bad thing has to happen.
Or an obstacle. Like an obstacle gets thrown in their way.
And sometimes it just randomly kills random people. It hurts the people around them too. It's not something they can control.
Yeah, like
they tried to on multiple occasions to try to control it, and it's always ended up bad for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one example is kind of like one of the Taviran, Rand, since this is full spoilers, in The Dragon Reborn goes through a village, and everybody starts getting married. And at another point, it's said that when Rand is in the city, there's no stillbirths, whereas, however, there's a lot of weird deaths that happen, like people choking on feathers, as well as just people dying from random things.
One of the cities Rand goes to, a person falls off his balcony, lands on his feet, and didn't spill a single drop of his beer.
Yeah. And then another time, a person carrying a basket of fish tripped, and all the fish landed face first and made the symbol of the ancient Aes Sedai.
Yeah, and then another person got hit by a roof shingle that flew from the building across the street through their window and killed them.
Final Destination shit.
Yeah, very Final Destination. It's random shit that just starts happening around them. To the point where the Dark One's actually using it to try to find them. And then he starts sending a little essence of his own evil at them, and it starts one person explodes into bugs. A bunch of items are constantly reanimating and trying to kill everybody around them. It becomes a problem.
The rumors of the idea of rumors of it would even be better if it was just rumors of Taviran in general, not a specific number. That would even make more sense than saying 4 Taviran specifically, because it could just be one really strong Taviran, do you know what I mean, causing a load of shenanigans to happen in that area, and then there could be rumors about that, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But to say 4 specifically, it's like, how would you know? What do you mean?
And making it 4 also really hurts this overall story, because now Egwene's a Taviran too, and that undercuts all our future accomplishments.
Is it Egwene or Nynaeve?
It's both.
I think Egwene, unless they decide to make Nynaeve Taviran.
I thought they were making Nynaeve Taviran, because I thought in episode 4 that Logain is seeing her Taviran-ness.
Well, in episode 4, they mentioned that there's 5 Taviran from the 2 rivers now. So
it sounds like the script writers aren't on the same page.
They're not.
Like it.
That's a big problem that goes through all these episodes.
Yeah, they dropped the Taviran. The idea of the Taviran is dropped. We haven't heard any mention of Taviran.
How do we have a completed series that you're adapting and you're still making it up as you go along?
Well, because they had to cut out all the important bits to make room for conversations about gay people.
Well, they haven't even talked about gay people.
So they fucking or what? Are they fucking or what?
Yeah, they're fucking.
Yeah, they're fucking. They're fucking.
Well, they implicitly the barmaid says, nothing like.
Oh yeah, that's right. They do actually have one. Never mind, I take it back.
There's that, and then there's the warders of the where it's like, oh, they're all fucking. Those 3 are all fucking, right? It's like, yeah, they're pretty much all fucking, yeah. They don't say it like that. It would have been funny if they did say it like that. Like, yo, it's like Nynaeve's just like, yo, so they fucking or what? And Lan's just like, yeah, they fucking.
Yeah, it's basically like season 8 of Game of Thrones, where they're following the story very, very loosely.
I think that's
at all.
Yeah.
I would say season 5. I would say season 5 rather than season 8 because season 8 is just made up nonsense, whereas season 5 is a deliberate departure from what was happening in the books.
Yeah, but speaking of Game of Thrones, I feel like there's a lot of like Game of Thronesification in this show where they're like, oh well, we're trying to be like Game of Thrones, and especially like in the first episode, you have the look, Rand and Egwene, they're fucking, and it's like.
Their parents had just left the room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the irony being that the Wheel of Time was probably what helped influence George R.R. Martin to write Game of Thrones. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't actually know
They're
when
very
they came out.
different. You know?
They're very different.
Stories, you know. But it's like
I thought George R.R. Martin started writing long before Wheel of Time was the thing.
I don't think it's like some people say it's like, oh well, they're that age, you know, they're like. But I feel like that's applying like what people that age are like now, and just assuming that everyone was having sex all the time, or that people didn't care about monogamy, or that it was only surface level. Like people would say that they were monogamous, but nobody ever really cared about being monogamous or not having sex before marriage. I don't think that's true. I think in that close knit, like very close knit, like village where everyone knows everyone, and you know. It would get out, and especially like the women's circle wouldn't take kindly to it. They'd be like, "No, that's inappropriate behavior, and fuck you, you're getting married now." This is, you know, because they as soon as they found out, which they would, because it's like tiny community, they'd be like, "No, fuck off, you're getting married."
It's even mentioned in the book that was the biggest scandal in like years when a wife was caught cheating on her husband. And that was happened like two villages down.
Or when two teenagers.
And that was the big thing in the whole area.
Or when two teenagers were caught in the barn playing hide the zucchini.
Yeah, it's like, well, you're getting married. Oh, it's like, oh, okay, but
done.
Also,
they were caught in a barn. You could have used needle in the haystack instead.
What was I going to say? I've completely lost my train of thought.
So,
nope, it's gone.
With Game of so like I think like comparing this to Game of Thrones, at least like Game of Thrones season 1 is actually somewhat pertinent because Game of Thrones, the initial season, has a very clear arc for each of the characters, and at least there's clear conflict and motivation for each of the characters. To a certain extent, that is a problem with Eye of the World, that it doesn't necessarily have that. But there are at least consistent obstacles that the characters have to get out of. And it just doesn't feel like there's necessarily direct obstacles for the characters to overcome. It feels more like they're kind of being thrown into situations and then kind of like it resolves itself around them. At least like it feels like that to me, like with the Rand and Matt especially. And to a certain extent, Nynaeve and Egwene's stories.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the whole conflict in episode 1, where it's like, oh, my mentor or whatever, tried to go to the White Tower, and you were like, no, you're lame, and you can't sit with us, you know.
You're broke. You're broke.
Yeah.
You're poor. That whole thing was stupid.
Your accent is dumb, haha. But then that's completely dropped. Like that whole, it's never brought up again. He's never. I don't know. It's just right. Okay. Right.
Yeah, like Moraine's said, they know your power. They want you to become a novice now, and Nynaeve doesn't even bring up her mentors. Like, why didn't you accept her if you're accepting me?
Oh, that
was a noise.
That's funny.
Guys, you must understand the small indie company Amazon just cannot afford to create sets and hire actors for half of the Eye of the World.
I started writing before I necessarily got brains and had, but there was kind of elements where I was kind of like, I wanted to do better than what I was seeing, and really I was only 14 and I didn't realize how good I had it back then.
Yeah,
because 2009 is looking much better by the day. 2009 is much better.
I miss when the worst fantasy book we knew of was Eragon.
Well, worst fantasy adaptation, yeah. And now, since then, we've gotten Game of Thrones the last 4 seasons. We've gotten Artemis Fowl.
God.
We've got Inkheart.
Inkheart was pretty bad.
Artemis Fowl, though. Artemis Fowl hurt. It hurt my soul.
Something died in me that day.
Yeah, especially when, I think it was just me describing it to you destroyed your soul.
And that's how we met.
I'm very happy because Crow, you're a Goodman. You're a rock.
No, I'm a crow.
He's a rock.
You're a good crow. Crow is good.
He's a rock.
Both are.
Crow is good. Crow is good. Crow.
Kaka. Come see my magic show on the 19th.
Go see his show on the 19th, folks. Yeah, I miss 2009, 2008 when Prince Caspian and Iron Man and The Dark Knight and a bunch of other good, and Kung Fu Panda and a bunch of other good movies. I miss 2014 when Captain America Winter Soldier and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and Edge of Tomorrow and a whole bunch of other good movies came out that year. And I'm just like, now I hate everything that's coming out pretty much. Oh, man. But let's get back to it. I guess they cut out a lot of stuff from it kind of seems like the sense of community isn't necessarily there in the show. I guess like the women have a community and a culture, but it seems like everybody else is kind of just not really in there, I suppose.
Yeah, they really don't. And then they add a bunch of stupid stuff.
Yeah, well, it just feels like the characters can be categorized as Moraine, Land, Rand, and everyone else is a red herring.
A little bit.
You just get red herring from fucking pup named Scooby-Doo. he just comes in. It's like, maybe I'm the Dragon Reborn, huh? You know, it's just like
shut up, red herring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think that it was. I guess. What do you think? I think it was kind of a miss. Well, I don't know how to categorize it. The decision to shift from Winter Night Rand is dragging his father after an attack by not one Trolloc. There were multiple Trollocs that attack the Althor farm, and they have to sneak around. They don't just kill it and run. And then Rand has to drag his father by himself. He doesn't have a horse all the way down to Emmons Field.
Yeah. They cut out the reveal that Rand is adopted.
Yeah, and they don't replace it with anything. You know, they all of the stuff that's conveyed through that whole thing of him like dragging Tam back isn't replaced with any other method of conveying the same information. So it's just a strict downgrade in terms of information about Rand to make him somewhat compelling, you know.
Mm-hmm. And it just seems as though like they haven't really given much character. It kind of feels like a lot of the characterization is extremely thin. And like they're doing the ensemble thing, and like the person that's gotten the most characterization is actually Nynaeve.
Mm-hmm. I guess you could maybe argue for a Gwen getting a bunch too. I don't know.
And she's kind of one note. You know, Egwene is kind of one note in this. He's kind of like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna be good at stuff. You know, like
well, that's her in the book. I don't feel like that's her in the show.
Well, show Egwene feels like a basically just modern day female character, strong female character, I should say.
Yeah, like when the White Cloak is threatening to cut her throat, she's saying, "I'll come back with my next life and split you open." Egwene at this point would be pissing her pants.
I fucking love the slapping scene. Oh, that was the best scene. That was the best scene in episode 5.
That was unintentionally hilarious, honestly.
Wait, I don't remember the slap.
Where it's like the
slapping the
tinkers,
tinkers,
and they're like, "We're gonna link arms and stop you," and they're just like, it's like that meme of the slapping the guy. You know the meme where like it's the guy slapping everyone, and then the police come and he slaps all the police and everything, and then he slaps the cat on the tree and everything.
Yeah,
so
it's like that.
Okay.
Whole lot of that.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about Leave Takings other than they've cut out a lot of like the personality of the Two Rivers, like
Parent's wife. Do we want to talk about her?
Oh yeah, Parent's wife. That's
or
so
how they
stupid.
and they changed Matt's parents into deadbeats because we have to sympathize with Matt.
Which doesn't make sense. Like, it's not just it doesn't make sense because, well, they obviously you can, like, characters can be bad people. Like, obviously bad people exist, fair enough. But in this, like, supposedly, like, tight-knit, isolated community, like, you wouldn't get away with that shit. You know what I mean? Like, the women's circle would be all over that shit. They'd be like, yo, stop fucking womanizing and stop you being a fucking dick. You know, they you know, it doesn't make sense that he'd just be able to do this.
And you take care of your children.
Yeah,
now you call them take care of your children.
Is this not the exact thing that the women's circle should be all over? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just seems kind of silly that this is going on in the open. Like, it's not even secret. Like, it's not even like it's only behind closed doors, but outside, you know, when they're going about their day, it's you can hardly tell. You know what I mean? But it's like, no, you can tell. Like, it's pretty obvious.
And the fact that like they're a very dysfunctional family, it seems like. But even if like Bode and Eldrin have like been significantly aged down to like from like mid to late teens to like probably like 9 to 12 at the oldest. It kind of really changes Matt's dynamic by a lot. It basically turns him into the doting big brother who's who's like, I guess like it turns him more into an artful dodger type rather than a prankster type.
Well, and not to mention Book Matt is actually a bit of a womanizer because he flirts and drinks and gambles a lot. And in the TV show, the mother's like, "You're going to turn out just like your father."
Yeah, he's gonna have a big complex about it. You know, he's gonna be like, "Oh no, I'm turning out just like him." But one thing that annoys me about it, though, about the change to his family life and backstory, is it takes away like something that he represents. So you have like. Because basically you have the three main boys are kind of three different ways to handle being a chosen one. So Rand is like fighting it to the tooth and nail to the very end, you know. But Matt is the only one who's pretty happy enough to be leaving. Like, he's the only one that's like, you know what, I don't really want to go back. I'm not really like, oh no, I miss my old, you know, life in the Two Rivers. No, he's pretty much happy enough to go about in cities and gamble and have, you know, a bunch of, you know, shenanigans in cities and stuff.
Fun adventures.
Yeah, exactly. But whereas Perrin is like, I wish I could go back there. You know, Rand is like, I wish I could go back there, but I can't. But Perrin's like, no, I will go back there, but I'll have to be a leader. You know what I mean? So it's kind of three different ways. Whereas now Matt has a reason to want to go home more, which kind of takes away his role in balancing out that trio of characters.
There's also the element of there's no male. There's kind of no good male role models in the show that I've noticed.
Yeah.
The only one we really get is Tam. Maybe Tom. But...
Tam barely gets any lines in this show. He's not even in it.
And that's what makes him the best one.
He doesn't say anything about the Void. We don't hear about the Void, do we?
Oh my god, they didn't even bring up the flame in the void.
And Rand kind of needs that. That's the key to channeling.
Yeah.
They keep him safe for a very long ass time.
That seems like a really important thing. I mean, it doesn't even take that long to establish. All you needed was a scene with Tom being like, okay, like you gotta, like talking about the void and everything, and then they're practicing their archery or whatever, or they're like hunting a deer or something, and he's like talking him through the void, and then and all we see is like the flame, and then there's like a hard cut to him actually loosing the arrow. Do you know what I mean? And then it's like he
almost
comes
like that should have been the scene instead of Egwene going down a fucking river.
Or I guess the talk about the wheel that could have been about the flame in the void rather than the talk about how reincarnation in this world works.
Or Rand could have explained the void himself if like there was a bit where all the other Two Rivers kids are panicking a bit, but Rand is staying calmer than them or something like that. Then he would have had a chance to talk about it. But no, we can't set up things that are important. We got to make room for things that aren't important, and we're never in the books.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how important that is. Like the idea of the flame in the void, because it seems like a really I think it's not that important, but it actually is pretty important.
It is. Yeah. But yeah, it is. And also kind of like Land's mentorship of the boys is just not there anymore, which is kind of a shame because he's kind of like their stoic dad, and Moraine's the stern mom in a lot of ways of this little dysfunctional family group.
Yeah, so we're going to go into episode 2.
Yeah, let's talk about Leila Abar. It's dumb. That was dumb.
Sorry, who?
Literally.
Good question. Yeah, technically, she is in the books. She is in the books, yeah. And the idea is that Leila Durham, in this version, marries Perrin Ibarra and then dies, but it's because he accidentally kills her.
I think she got one line. It was, "I know."
Yeah. Very, very weak characterization. Just especially since she's now it's pretty much the literal definition of fridging, and a lot of even the woke wheel of time. It seems like nobody liked that change because
Shadiversity liked it, or he said he
see what they're trying
it.
to do. Because the whole point is a lot of Perrin stuff is so internal that if you literally just had a camera following the character in the books, there wouldn't actually be a lot going on in his chapters if you were just had a camera focus on what's happening, Whereas this is something visual or that they can kind of refer to, or even the audio of it, they can kind of go this in general represents the conflict between violence and non-violence, and the hammer and the axe, etc. It is this is supposed to be a visual representation that can be referred to, because it's kind of hard to refer to a metaphor without just the metaphor itself. Without something to link it to.
Well, they still could get a lot of Perrin's stuff across. Even if he hadn't accidentally killed whatever her name is, in episode 4, when the Tinker Woman asks him, "Has your life been better ever since you picked up an axe?" That would still work to set up that conflict of the axe versus the hammer.
Which has not been in the show at all.
Well, no, they had in episode 2. They talk about how Leila only wanted to make tools. He has a conversation with Matt,
Mm-hmm.
About how he wanted to make tools and not weapons.
Why not just make it Master Luhan?
Yeah, could have just been Master Luhan, but no, we had to make the blacksmith a woman and Perrin's wife because that's more tragic.
Yeah, not really. I don't care about her. It was a better story. I was just like, I don't think like we didn't really trade Dark Crystal for this.
Oh, don't even get me fucking started.
The Dark Crystal was traded for the 3-body problem, which is never going to get made because some lower level executive poisoned his CEO, and now it's never going to get made.
That is the craziest story. They should make that into a movie.
Yeah,
they did. It's called American Psycho.
Oh, I thought it was that one about the tiger guy.
That show's whack. That show's crazy. Sometimes reality is stranger than fiction, but I think I think that pretty much sums up Leaf Tickets, unless anybody else has any thoughts.
Anyway, let's go ahead and jump to episode 3.
Don't you mean 2?
What about episode 2?
Nothing happens in episode 2.
They cut out a lot of stuff. Like, they cut out Barrelon and
Min. We still haven't met Min yet.
Yeah. I think we're going to meet her in the next episode.
Shoot me.
Yeah.
They're going to ruin our lovely little tomboy.
So Thundercats Roar. I don't know what that is.
It's a kawaii version of Thundercats, or Chibi. I mean Chibi, not kawaii. Sorry.
It's another one of those shows where the creator said, I didn't like the original, so I'm doing it my way.
Oh.
And it's like a Teen Titans Go of Thundercats.
That's an insult to Teen Titans Go.
Oh, wow. It's that bad, huh?
Yeah.
And they've removed a lot with this episode.
Like,
not go off on another tangent. Teen Titans Go can have moments of actual intelligence. Thundercats Roar was just a shitty wet fart.
Yeah, the one good thing to come out of episode 2, but my son.
I think like Shad had a very amusing thing about the warder like not wanting to go gay. He was like, "But my boom."
Yeah.
I was just like, that is extremely offensive, but I find it incredibly amusing.
I laughed.
Okay. But yeah, like the only thing that really like we go to Shadow Logith, but we don't meet Mortith. All we hear is Padanfane whistling and a shadow on the wall. And Matt goes off to find the dagger, and he just, because he's a kleptomaniac, he finds the dagger, even though Lamb, the man who has proven himself to be fairly competent, says, "Don't touch anything and only eat the food you brought." And he grabs
it do be like that, though.
Yeah. At the very least, they did show Matt as being as disregarding everything pretty much Lan said, and not taking it seriously because he was kicking junk around and all that.
This is another thing where aging the characters up doesn't really help. Like it would make more sense if they were a little bit younger. You know, like it would be like, oh, okay, yeah, he's kind of more immature. You know.
Yeah, but if they were younger, then Perrin wouldn't be married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Obviously the story wouldn't work if he wasn't married.
It's not like it was like one of the most popular modern fantasies to have ever been written.
No, not that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that is also very, very true.
I have actively refused to watch that show. I've always hated He-Man. I am not going to stop now. Well, maybe not hated, disdained, I think is a better word. I've always disdained He-Man.
What, you mean you don't like?
Don's just jealous of He-Man's massive pecs.
You don't like watching a half-naked man running around and beating up other half-naked men?
What are you, fucking gay?
Not really. No.
Are you
I don't
Italian?
like stupid. I don't particularly enjoy stupid 80s shows. But yeah,
This
Shadows
is coming
Waiting.
from the man who wrote Dragon Blasters.
I like 90s.
Did you ever watch Biker Mice from Mars? That was the shit.
No, but I watched G.I. Joe Sigma 6 religiously.
We want to talk about
Fucking
anything
Street
else
Sharks.
other than Wheel of Time so badly.
Which is sad.
I mean, nothing ever happened in episode 2. We're already talking about Shatter Logoth or Logath, and that was in the last 5 minutes.
Oh my god, it really was.
We only really like the travel time is kind of
It's the White Cloaks episode, like where they meet the White Cloaks, right?
Yeah,
it makes so much
That's
more
the
sense
first
in
5 minutes of the show. And then
they
Shadow
care-
Logoth was
Yeah.
last 5 minutes. What happened to the last fucking 20 minutes?
I don't even know.
It was all riding horses and exposition.
Yeah, like the Weep from Anethrin, which
Oh, yeah, we had to listen to the characters sing for 5 minutes and then get another 5
They
minute
didn't sing for 5 minutes. It was like only 1 minute of song and then like 4 minutes of exposition.
Yeah, and it's mainly like a lot of like major cuts, like Barrelon is out, like the initial meeting where Rand actually meets Dame Bornhold, and Dame Bornhold is set up for the rest of the book.
Yeah,
but so the thing about Barrelon, right, or about cutting out Barrelon, is that it makes so much more sense in the books to meet the White Cloaks in a town like Barrelon and be able to get away than it does in this, where they meet them where there's no like law. There's like no. It's not like they're in a town where there's like other authorities and there's other like buildings to hide in and there's like inns, that they can, they can stay in their rooms. They can. It's a lot. It makes a lot more sense to be able to avoid getting like captured by White Cloaks than it does in the show, where there's nothing stopping them other than their own, like, they just choose not to. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no good reason that they can just leave without, a big conflict,
As well as episode 5 retroactively makes that scene worse because they never ask her straight up, "Are you an Aes Sedai?"
Yeah, and it would have been neat to see Moraine worm her way out of answering that question.
Like, there's no real good way. There's no real good reason for them to just leave there. In the show, it just makes so much less sense than in the books, where it's in a town, and it makes a whole lot more sense that they are able to get out of the town without being taken by White Cloaks.
And
we get to see a little bit more Moraine's power and what she's capable of,
and also Min. we get to see Min.
Min is awesome.
The very beginning of Min.
Yeah.
And all of those like prophecies and like visions and stuff.
And they also managed to character assassinate the White Cloaks by having one of them suggest, "Oh, you should have an Aes Sedai look at that."
Yeah,
I think isn't that Jeff from Bornhold?
Yeah, Jeff from,
I think they're kind of being like, okay, like he's like super moderate, he's like,
well, yeah, Jeff from Bolton or
Bornhold,
he was definitely reasonable, especially for a White Cloak.
Yeah.
But even he wouldn't have suggested that.
It's only until way later when Galad is like, oh, okay, yeah, you can get healing
because Galad is a reasonably like moderate person who thinks very analytically and doesn't really believe in most of the superstitions.
But that's only because he's grown up with Aes Sedai and being very normalized. And like in a household of, his mother went to the White Tower and can kind of channel, he's been around it, a lot of his life. It's a normal part of his life, so.
Which we're going to get to. It seems as though they're transplanting Camelin to season 2, or maybe we're not even going to get Camelin. Maybe just
we're definitely getting
Elaine. Maybe just Elaine is just going to be in the White Tower or something.
That would be really lame.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't get to see what MILF they're going to cast.
How does Rand meet Elaine?
Well, the next time he runs into Elaine is in the Stone of Tyr at the end of book 3.
Oh, did they say that if they're doing the polycule thing? Did they say if they're doing that, or did they say specifically if they're changing it?
So Rafe Judkins has said that he is not going to make it a polygamous relationship, but rather a polyamorous relationship where everybody's sucking and screwing.
Oh, fun!
That's like.
That's because we can't have a man be the center of a multi-person relationship, because that would not be progressive, I guess. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, at what point do you kind of just go, okay, I mean, is it really a relationship if we're just like fucking anyone at any time and it's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, you do you. I mean, I feel like at what point?
Well, I think it's more just like it's those 4 people, like the girls are going to be banging each other when they're not banging around.
Oh, so it's like all within the 4. So it's like a love tetrahedron.
Yeah, well, that's not very fair to Min. She doesn't get to spend a lot of time with Elaine or whatever the other lady's name is.
Avienda. She gets to spend plenty of time with Elaine. She just doesn't get anything with Avienda.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Min was in the White Tower for a bit.
And then Avienda's gone when Min is getting it on with Rand. Basically, like, I get the feeling that Min is like, based on like how much sex that Min and Rand are having, she's definitely taking birth control, because it seems like Rand has like hyper fertile semen or something.
He must. He gives Avienda quadruplets.
And Elaine twins just after
Absolutely
2 times.
Based.
And like just one
Taviran.
Yeah, apparently Taviran's sperm is like Rand's Taviran sperm on with Elaine's channeler hyperfertility means that he gets 2 twins right off the bat.
Or maybe Taviran is the explanation for how Min doesn't get preggers.
Or how Matt, even though he screws his way over half of the continent, doesn't have any bastard children.
That we know of.
Does. I mean, maybe they never, like maybe he does have a whole load of bastard children.
Matt's gonna basically be Zeus, where he has all these kids.
In Shantan, is it actually encouraged? Like, are they like, yeah, okay, yeah, you can do that? Well, I don't know if you want, or are they like, no, don't do that. The bloodline must be pure or whatever.
I think at least with they probably want the Empress's consort, and they probably want the Prince of the Ravens and the Empress to remain faithful to each other, because it would mess up the line of succession. But then again, like, it seems as though, at least in the Westlands, bastardy is not a problem. Like, they don't really care. Like, even though, like, Elaine's children are most definitely illegitimate, they don't care. Like, nobody really cares.
It's not how they choose their leader anyway.
Yeah, the line of succession is definitely...
There isn't one. It's all based on, like, a Republic vote around the nobles for Camelin.
If there is a succession war that's based on vote, but usually it's a mother to daughter thing. The reason why there was a vote in the last 3 books was because there were multiple claimants, and since Elaine was gone, and they thought that more people wanted to have a different thing. And the previous one was because the daughter disappeared, and that's how Morghese got to be queen.
So yeah, episode 2, Shadows Waiting. We've
kind of
talked about everything but this episode.
Yeah, the only thing that really happened, like the only thing that we've really discussed that kind of has some bearing on the rest is the first Balsamon sighting.
Yeah.
Balsamon is so lame.
He has no charm. He has no personality. He has no actor. He has
no grace.
He's like it's basically like they just from what I understand, it's like he's just the dude from Sinister. I haven't seen that movie, but that's from what I understand that like he's Baba Yaga. And that's not really compelling at all.
There's nothing special about him. He's just generic evil dark fire dude.
And I feel like this is the thing
generic evil. He's just generic boogeyman.
He's a jump scare.
Yeah, it's a thing you kind of miss from not having the prologue, because when you've seen the prologue, when you're seeing the dreams, it's like, oh, this is the same place from the prologue. Do you know what I mean? So you're making the connection. Guy. You know what I mean? You're making, but it's not just the same guy. It's the same location. It's the same. You're in like the ruined, like room where everything's melted from the magic and everything. So you're in this same like location where like he went mad and killed his family. You know what I mean? It talks. There's like the fireplace and everything, and there's the table, and there's all the stuff on the. But basically, you're in that location, so you're like, oh, this is the place from the prologue. So now you're starting to make the connection. You know what I mean? As you're reading, because you're like, okay, this is to do with the prologue. So it's like, okay, that's the connection. It's something to do with that. You know, whereas here it's just a scary, fiery guy. Scary, fiery eye guy
who is trying to mess with their heads by giving them weird dreams, like making them vomit up bats, which is creepy. But after a while, you kind of want some measure of engagement between the villain and the heroes.
Even the dark one gets a personality.
Yeah, he's basically just an eldritch god that's go for it, sorry.
And he actually makes really good points. That's the real problem. It's just like
without me there's no agency.
Yeah,
basically like you were compelling everybody to be good. There wouldn't be true goodness.
You would be no better than me. It's just like, I win in this. If you win, I win.
It seems kind of strange. I did find that kind of strange, where it's like, are you saying like the dark one is like the like it's the idea that if he's not there, if he doesn't exist, then people cannot be evil, just seems a little bit odd. Like that's the only reason they have free will, is that the dark one exists.
It's not necessarily that. Is that Rand takes away all evil, so there's nobody to do bad, but he accidentally just takes away choice, takes away the ability for people to be human. They just become puppets at that point, and that's pretty much what the Dark One wants anyway. He's not evil incarnate. Yeah. He's a force of evil, and this is just how he works. But if they were to defeat the Dark One, take this power that he has and use it to just make pure good, it just ends everything.
Oh, the PowerPoint, that reminded me, the chapter name, A Place of Safety. They went to a steading in that. Do you remember them going to a steading in the show?
No.
I was really go to a safe place, did they?
I was really hoping they were going to say that they were able to kill these Aes Sedai because they have an abandoned steading that they can take them to and kill them there, because that would be like, oh, okay, then they can't channel there, but they just made it like
introduce fork root.
Yeah, but it's just, oh no, they just cut off their hands and they're just too. It's just the habits. The habits are too strong. They need their hands because of they can't in their desperation work it out, But Egwene can, because Egwene is Egwene.
Well,
but yeah.
Well, Gwen's Taviran, so of course she had to figure it out.
Mm. Yeah, Zoe Robbins is very cute.
Who?
I like Zoe Robbins. Nynaeve. I think she's much prettier with her hair down as opposed to in the braids, but
like I said before the show, the braid is ugly.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good.
We forgot to complain about how she caught up to Lan.
Oh yeah.
She's just built different, bro.
And like, I think that the fake, like, Amazon made a very big mistake in having her like be dragged off at the end of episode 1 and then come back at the end of episode 2. And when they released all 3 episodes at once.
It's very fake. It's very fake. Like, whoa, what happened? Oh my gosh, is she dead?
Drama.
I don't think that's just because I don't think that's just because we've read the books. I think even to a show watcher that would, appear like contrived and like, okay.
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is supposed to be, Balerion. I know you're trolling, but I have no idea what that means.
Oh, it's Count Balerion. Okay.
Yeah, is being.
You're just salty because they changed Spallin of
I don't know what.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah,
you're totally right.
No,
What's that Pokemon?
I'm salty because Tom isn't playing a harp.
Salty because they changed the spelling, so he just misspelled spelling of Amerlin.
Oh,
okay, that's hilarious.
Did they change the spelling of Amerlin? We have to be upset about that.
I don't like how the stole looks.
Yeah, that looks weird. It's basically just a dress.
Shit.
Whatever
it's not a stole.
Whatever that Pope lady is. Yeah, because she kind of is the Pope, just with.
She doesn't look like a Pope because it's not a proper stole. If it was a proper stole, it would actually be like, oh, she's kind of like the Pope, and it would actually make sense because he kind of is like the Pope in terms
Give
of
her the hat too. Just go into it.
But it's like it kind of should look like if you look at what the Pope has, he has basically a stole, but so it gives that religious vibe. This looks like a fucking fancy dress. It doesn't look like a
fancy dress,
quasi-religious.
With some very faded colors.
She doesn't even look like a wizard. The Aes Sedai are basically the setting's wizards. They don't even look like wizards.
No, they look like strong female characters.
And also the fact that everyone, this is like, how sexist could you be? But like, it kind of undermines Min's like uniqueness when all of the women are just wearing trousers. They're just wearing like leather pants and shit. It's kind of undermines.
They're wearing like knee-length skirts.
Yeah, like they're not like. It's significant that Min is like wearing these like tight pants. Like that she has a particular look. It's like, but I feel like this is so. In this world, it's like that's not that abnormal, so it doesn't stick out that much, and so it's like, oh, so what? So what? It's like it's not that. Nobody's gonna care. Who's gonna be like, these dresses so different.
The only women I haven't seen not wearing dresses, the only ones I have, or the only ones that don't seem to be not wearing dresses are Aes Sedai, and that's the mostly red ones, I think.
I believe that the Green sisters are wearing similar attire. Maybe that's just like it seems as though like their traveling attire is like knee-length skirts, or at least like divided skirts. But it's kind of like, it kind of like makes Min stand out less, because normally because Alana is wearing like knee-length skirt and trousers and boots, and Moraine is just wearing like trousers and suspenders. Yeah.
Min doesn't stand out hardly at all. It's almost like she's not even in the show.
Yeah, almost like they haven't had her on screen yet. We had to make time. We had to make time for Leila.
Leila.
I think Princess Leila is a great character. She should totally be in the show. Fucking kids.
Now we get into the condensing and big change episode.
Oh God, we still got to go through 3 more of these. 2 more.
Well, we'll try to be quick. Perrin and Egwene is fairly accurate with one important omission, and that is Elias Machira, explaining that Perrin can talk to wolfies.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Well, I was just going to say, we don't really get anything that confirms that Perrin can really actually talk to the wolves. There was just one bit at the end of episode 5 where he's like, oh, that wolf's not going to hurt us, even though it's barking at them like I'm going to hurt you, but it doesn't.
It bothers me that the wolves bark.
Yeah. And indeed.
Apparently, like, wolf saliva heals wounds or something, because a wolf licks an injury that Perrin got that we only see revealed in episode 2, and he is fine for the rest of the season. Like, a month goes by and he's fine after a wolf licks it.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. And they just kind of cut from have the wolves just chase them into the Tinkers. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, but it would have been much more impactful if the wolves had like surrounded the two in their sleep and then led them to the Tinkers. That would have certainly conveyed it and got rid of the mystery of, oh, are the wolves actually goodies or baddies?
Yeah. But other than that, kind of accurate. Yeah, until episode 5. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shad was pissed at episode 5. I think it was he ranted for almost 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
My God.
Yeah, Shad's episode 5 thing is hilarious because he's screaming his head off while one of the other guys is just sitting there smiling. I think that guy's name is Oz.
Yeah, Oz is just egging him on, being the little devil on his shoulder.
And Nathan was plugging his ears. Is it Nathan? I think it's Nathan.
Yeah, I think it was Nathan, yeah. Yeah, they were just... Yeah, Shad is... I think that is the most pissed I've ever seen Shad. Even Rise of Skywalker didn't make Shad as pissed as that last episode.
Shad is not a guy who gets angry.
Yeah, this was a unique form of angry that Shad got.
Yeah, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. That's episode 5. Let's talk about episode 3 and how the boys ran away from a girl.
Green Spring.
Hey, that was a very important comma. Proper grammar.
Yeah.
Oh, you should go watch. You should go watch it after this stream.
He gets pissed. He gets really pissed.
And it's only 2 hours. You can get through that in about 2 hours.
It's an hour and 48.
Oh.
It's 2 hours and 48.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, almost 3 hours. Yeah.
It's almost 3 hours. You can get through that in about
literally some minutes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, to be fair, the girl did have a sword, so I guess that's something. Girls with swords are always scary, from what I've heard.
Not really. Not when they're like a full head and a half shorter than the boys.
Yeah. And then her plan was just stupid because she tries to seduce Rand, and then after that doesn't work, she's like, "Oh, did I try too hard to look just like her?" And completely just gives up the ghost.
Yeah. She already had him in this thing that she can just lock up. So I mean, it's just what? Yeah. Doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, this episode and episode 4 as a pairing, I really hate how they've handled Tom. I really don't like it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fine with the guitar to a certain extent, because I don't know, like, I guess harp playing, would kind of seem odd. I don't know.
I guess, but Tom was really like a flamboyant, stuck-up artist.
This does not seem like a guy that even like a town gets excited, about, because when Tom comes in and he's got his fucking crazy multicolored coat thing, right? Everyone's like, "Oh shit, here we go. Let's go, boys. It's Gleeman time." And it's going to be like a proper show. He's going to do like proper impressive stuff, fucking fire, juggling, fucking
like juggling, fire eating, tumbling, all kinds of crazy stuff. This guy is like an old gunslinger type. He even gets a gunslinger like twangy theme on the soundtrack, which
this is supposed to be a former like court musician, or court like entertainer, like it's like, come on, like, ugh.
Yeah. Be aware though, this has full spoilers for the rest of this, for the full series. So if you don't want to be spoiled, better tune off really quick, because we're going to talk some spoilers, like the fact that
Rand is the Dragon Reborn. It's not a mystery.
Bruh.
Yeah. I also think that they also made a mistake by condensing the 3 Dark Friend encounters into this one episode. I think that was a very big mistake.
Yeah.
And also, it kind of is annoying that Rand and Matt don't get themselves out of any of their problems.
No, well, they're men in the modern day. They can't solve their own problems.
Yeah. Which is going to be weird when certain conflicts later on in the
so obviously they've obviously, because of the Dark Friend encounter. So what are the 3 Dark Friend encounters?
So the 3 Dark Friend encounters, the first one is in Four Kings, when they go to the really seedy inn, perform, and it looks like the innkeeper is gonna grab them and steal their stuff. And instead it turns out to be this Dark Friend merchant who is trying to grab them, but then lightning comes down, which is ostensibly conjured by Rand, and destroys the...
Yeah, that was Rand's 3rd time channeling, because the next time they encounter a Dark Friend, Rand is channeling sickness, and she tries, the next Dark Friend poses as a healer, tries to stab Matt, and they beat her. They beat her up and tie her up.
They're like in a barn, right? This is like where they're like in the barn, and she's like...
And there's also at one point where they just get approached by Pater, the worst Dark Friend ever.
Yeah, but the one... the one that kills them in the... or that tries to kill them, or like tries to stab them in the barn, comes back like way later.
Yeah, she comes back in book 7.
Yeah, is it
continues
Crown of Swords? Yeah.
Yeah, and then she continues until Towers of Midnight.
Yeah, I forgot about her.
Yeah, Millie Skane, or as her real name, but and it's kind of just like, and she's the
it's because Matt recognizes her in Ibu Dar.
Yeah,
he's like, oh shit, it's your woman from that one time.
Yeah. Well, the real lesson you're supposed to pick up from that is never trust a skinny innkeeper.
Yeah, which doesn't work, because Brown Elvira is pretty skinny,
Well, and then actually more seriously, what did you think about the Dark Lady or Dark Friend Lady's motivation of just break the wheel so that way we don't have to keep doing all this shit over and over again?
I guess it's kind of, that's one of the things at the very end, like where that's like part of the deal, or like the idea of like
she's definitely got the most fleshed out. She's actually weirdly more fleshed out than any of the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
At least like in terms of her philosophy. because it seems like the White Cloaks are just evil. I guess we see in episode 5, or at least like the questioners.
I feel like there's kind of, I think they're definitely making a more of a hard distinction between questioners and regular White Cloaks. Like they're making the questioners are like a lot more. I mean, they kind of are like that in the books, but like they're definitely making it a pretty hard distinction. Where it's like, no, there's White Cloaks, but then there's questioners, and they're like way like more zealous.
Yeah, just past that scene. Oh, nice. Yeah, and it's kind of just like, it seems as though they've made a lot of cuts. They also cut out Bail Doman.
Yeah,
which is kind of annoying because he's kind of important.
So I'm thinking, like, how do you like cut him out? You know, it's
and not have certain ripple effects, because he's relatively important in book 2 and in book 4, and then in book 9, when he comes back, he's extremely important, or at least him and his girlfriend are very important.
Yeah, kind of. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't have him show up in this book or for this season, because then that would be a man doing something important.
That is a very good point. He has 7 Aes Sedai rings from Aes Sedai he's killed.
Oh, do you think he has one of each color?
It seems like he has mostly red rings with 1 green and a yellow.
Yeah, if he collects enough, he gets an extra life.
Guess so. And then, like, yeah, Dana acts kind of dumb, which is annoying. She should have just locked them in the room, and once they were asleep, and shouldn't try to make a move. That was a really, really stupid decision. And it's kind of just so that Tom can skewer her through the neck.
Well,
I guess I was kind of like, when she said, was it the hair? Did I look like her? I was like, is that Lanfear? Please do not make that Lanfear. Please don't make that Lanfear. Please, for the love of
I was worried that she was actually Lanfear. Like the moment she said, "Oh, was the braid too much?"
Yeah, that's.
My immediate and like, thankfully it's just she's just regular Darkfang. I was just like, it is way too early to introduce Lanfear.
Oh, that's going to be another future problem. Rand slept with Egwene. Lanfear's not gonna like that.
No, she's not. Well, I guess it's good when she eventually goes ballistic.
Yeah, that's what makes it so significant when he does sleep with Avienda. That's what makes it so significant, is that that's not a thing he normally does, you know?
Yeah. I think that partially it's just the creators don't understand the mentality of sex after marriage culture that the Two Rivers have, and that they've instilled into their children, because Nynaeve is a prude until the end of the books.
But even then, it's still very much like she has like the one person that she kind of zeroes in on, and it's kind of like still pretty wholesome, you know.
Yeah, well, even then, like, she's telling Rand, "Why are you not married to Min?"
Yes, yeah,
and she's like, "I know you two are absolute, like, you two are behaving like only married couples should. You should get married."
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it for Place of Safety, other than,
well, we have
Aiel.
There's Aiel foreshadowing and stuff, and like these Aiel people, they're kind of ginger.
Yeah, a land full of gingers. All their parents hate them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do like Tom's speech to Matt, but I just kind of like Matt isn't a grave robber.
And I don't think Tom would be okay with letting someone rob a grave.
Well, I don't like the fact that he steals from Matt and then is just completely unapologetic about it, or like completely like he doesn't steal from him and then give him back just to like teach him a lesson of being more careful. Do you know what I mean? He steals from him and he's like, "Nah, fuck you," which is like, wow, what a dick.
Yeah, he just says, "Donation for the gleeman, and a small fee for the life lesson."
Like, what a dick.
Yeah, and like we do get the Nynaeve getting away because the Trollocs sees a meal and runs off, which is part and parcel for Trollocs. But then she commandos a knife into that Trolloc.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
Well, would a Trolloc really go to eat another Trolloc rather than eating the defenseless woman it just dragged all the way there?
Unless they've been given specific orders not to eat one of the 5, since apparently she's one of the 5. That's my current headcanon, since that's the only way I can make sense of it, but they don't really capitalize on that. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, that's just bad writing.
Maybe it's because she's ta'veren.
Oh yeah, that's right, ta'veren. That's exactly why the Dark Friend lady gave up on her plan after Rand rejected her.
Yeah, and it's.
But I did like the idea though of like, it's annoying that I kind of liked her little monologue about why people would be Dark Friends, but it also felt like the situation felt like the problem is it's not like they were in a really small alleyway where there was no way for them to escape. You know what I mean? Like it was still a pretty open area. Like they could have got away if they really put any effort into it at all. They could have gotten away, you know,
or if they
even overpowered her, you know.
Yeah, or like just all they have to do is come in have one go in and have her swing at him, jump back, and then the other one grab her from behind and knock the sword out of her hand and just knock her unconscious.
Like even from the way she's holding the sword, you can kind of tell like she's not an expert at this.
Not to mention, Rand would never have wanted to leave that sword behind. That's the only memento of his daddy.
Yeah, he might not be your father, boy, but he's still your daddy.
Like all you need is like pocket sand, you know. It's like that's. I don't know. It just didn't feel like she had the. If it was a gun, it would make sense. That's the thing. It's like that. It's like they're treating the sword as if it's a gun.
Swords are fantasy guns.
No, that's a crossbow. But then again, the Wheel of Time does have actual guns. They just had them in the previous age.
Yeah. And in flash forwards.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of place of safety. Like that's kind of the annoying thing. It's just kind of not many events really happen in this. It is very, very easy to kind of hop, skip, and jump over this because not much that's significant happens. Like, yeah, Rand breaks down a door that apparently is
unbreakable.
That,
and
like,
since he didn't
go for it.
I was just gonna say, and since he didn't get summoning sickness, it was because of ta'veren and not because he was channeling.
At least supposedly,
they
haven't established some. I think that's kind of an annoying bit of that they've cut out, and like, it just seems like you remember when like he has the channeling sickness. When Matt is like trying to get the sword away from him because he thinks that Rand will freak out and cut something with it. Rand just pulls it close and is like, "No, he's my father."
Oh, yeah.
He's like immediately clutching the sword to him, and it breaks him when it's like he's losing his connection to Tam when he sees that the sword is melted. He can't use it anymore.
Yeah.
So
episode 4.
Yeah, at the end of episode 4, we have a very distinct change where they merge Elaine and Nynaeve, Moraine, and Lan's story with the Logain plot, where they meet a bunch of sisters who are taking Logain, who has not been set up to this point other than vague mentions of a war in Gildan.
Yeah, because the books, it started off with there's a war in Gelden. Let's keep a border patrol so that way we can try to stay out of trouble or something. That was how the thing started. Did they even say Logain's name at that point? I think they did.
Yeah, they did. They say at least like that there's a false dragon. They said there's a man calling himself the Dragon Reborn, and they say he can channel, and that's where we get the thing of he'll go mad and die. That's what all the stories say. Be quiet, Eowyn.
Yeah, you're not supposed to talk about things. Spreading knowledge is bad.
Yeah. And from this whole episode, it's basically focused on, like, we can kind of hop, skip, and jump over most of it. It's just Perrin and Egwene hang out with the Tinkers. We get some more of Isla's backstory. We get some more exposition on the Way of the Leaf, which is done fairly well.
Yeah, except they had all of it done from leader lady's wife instead of leader person. Or leader person's wife instead of him. And
also Perrin doesn't give enough of a response back. Like, what if you encounter Shadow Spawn who are just going to kill you?
I feel like, the whole problem with the Tinkers is no matter how much, even in the books, like, no matter how much it's like, oh, isn't this, it's kind of compelling, right? And I'm like, no, not really. It's just kind of dumb. It's just kind of dumb hippie bullshit. No matter how much you try to get me to go, wow, maybe they're right. Like, no. I'm just like,
there is evil in the world, and like you can choose to not fight, but if the whole world was like that, maybe life would be better, but then that would mean the competition stagnates.
But it's like they're not even, it's one thing, like there's ranges, do you know what I mean? There's like being against the war in Iraq and being against defending yourself at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a world of difference between I'm against like certain wars, and I think we should try to avoid a war as much as possible. And I don't think you should if someone's attacking you with like a knife and they're trying to stab you to death.
Well, what you should do is call the cops and run away.
No, don't call the cops. Call the the therapist. Call the what do you call it? The on-call emergency therapist.
Yeah,
it's an idea that can only exist in a peaceful world.
Like someone's literally stabbing someone to death, and just this. All you hear is like the kind of ambulance or like police sirens, and then he gets out and he's just like, "So, you have a bad relationship with your mother." He's just stabbing. He's like, "So I hear you had a troubled childhood and that you never fit in school." And he's just continuing to stab.
Yeah. This bit is the most accurate to the books, aside from the omission of Elias, and the setup of the Eye of the World. Because the Aiel, who frickin' hate the Tinkers.
Oh, that's right. There was a dying Aiel who went to the Tinker camp and told them that the Eye of the World is in danger. Oh my goodness, they cut that. That was important.
It's just another thing of importance, but I don't even remember hardly anything from these last two episodes. In the cage
that wasn't in the books, but they didn't have that.
Yeah. Kind of. That's the weird thing. Like, it seems like a lot of these side characters, like specifically like female characters, like the only one that like male character that seems to have any like personality is Lan and to a certain extent Matt, because he's got some decently funny quips.
It's because it's Matt, and Matt is the fan favorite character. If they screw up Matt, everybody's going to get pissed no matter what.
They've already screwed him up with the
yeah, I know they already did.
Yeah.
It's just getting depressing to talk about. I mean, like, it's obvious they don't care at all for the source material. They don't care at all for the audience. They do not care pretty much about anything that's not directly in front of them. They're so absolutely brain dead and bought into their own ideologies. They are unable to make something creative. They don't. If you look at the entire color scheme of this show, it's all muted. The Tinker's supposed to be this eyesore of colors. They're bright and beautiful and shining all over the place. And they made them like in these dull gray versions of the colors. It's like they just gave them a bunch of rainbows and think that's what that's going on about. It's like they don't understand how the magic in this system works. They don't understand basic history. They don't understand. No, I take it back. It's not that they don't understand. They don't care. They actively hate.
Oh, go for it. Sorry. Let Crow finish and then Space Oyster.
Yeah, did you have a finish for that thought, Crow? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to add that the scary thought is that they think that they're they think that they not only care about the books, but that they're improving the story.
Or even that maybe, honestly, the worst part would be if they consider themselves mega fans, and that that would be actually the worst thing, where because they're citing stuff from the books, but
Rafe seems to think so. He seems to be saying that he's a big fan.
Yeah.
But
trying to cite this as a different turning of the wheel is like, oh, hey, that thing from the book.
What it is that they got somebody who actually knows the thing, and they tell them the stuff, and then they're weaponizing and using it in the most basic way.
Yeah.
If they've read the book, they don't understand it.
So what do you think of
amazing surprise that they know how to read?
What do you think of at least the introduction of Lugian, like that opening scene, the pre-credits?
I would say it's the best scene in the show so far.
And it was nice to see more, to make it more obvious that Logain really wanted to be the dragon because it was just the right thing to do, I guess. Like,
he's honestly like the best character in the show, I would say.
Yeah, shame he only got one episode so far.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that he's not that the first false dragon we see isn't someone who just wants to use the title of false dragon to get power and influence and money and whatever, which seems to be most of the time they're like that, whereas Logain is kind of an exception, and that he actually is he genuinely believes it, and then he's like, well, I'm doing the right thing. I should do the things that the dragon is supposed to do, the Dragon Reborn is supposed to do. I should bring people together and stuff, and I'm going to bind the world, etc.
And then he gets magically neutered
for a while.
Yeah. And we do get in this one, I think that we get the scene with the Grinwells, and they decided to merge Grinwells with Whitebridge, at least in terms of the place where Tom fights the Fade. And the Grinwells are just dead now, which I guess is fine. They decided to change the kind of horny, promiscuous teenage girl into just a tiny, little kid that Matt could bond with.
Yeah,
with a Brigida doll.
Yeah, at least she wasn't horny and promiscuous on top of that.
That would have been really bad. That would have been, I think that that would have caused outrage on a level with cuties if that had happened. Yeah. Movie Bob and other people who like it, you people are insane and probably need psychological help.
Yeah, and then we get to see Matt being a red herring because he's being all corrupted by the dagger, and Rand is like, "Oh no, Matt can channel."
I did like the scene with the Owen, or like the Owen story.
Yeah, I think that was good. That was well done, and I think that the actor who played Tom really pulled that off.
No, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. Well, I've had to watch each episode like 3 to 4 times.
Oh, so, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
F.
Yes. At least like I get to like listen to it with I get to listen to it with different people and get different perspectives. Though if I ever play the "Daddy, would you like some sausage?" Count Valerian will just leave because he's terrified of it.
He's terrified of sausage?
Well, he's terrified of this.
Being creative? Now, if you'll excuse me, I still have some work to do. Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like some sausages? Daddy, would you like some sausage? Sausages! Sausages!
Oh! Wait, was that the actor who played Matt?
No, Tom, that was not... that's Tom Green, not Barney Harris.
Oh.
Though, weirdly enough, he was married to Drew Barrymore for a while, and then she divorced him. I don't understand how, because if Tom Green can get Drew Barrymore, then anybody can get Drew Barrymore.
What do you mean? You not everyone could be that level of genius, you know.
Anyway, so
I do think that was a big problem that Tom just is introduced in one episode and then gets supposedly off in the next one.
Especially after we just had the thing with 90.
Well, Tom is like a sort of cool uncle, and we can't have that around.
Yeah, I think another issue is like, how is he going to get out of that situation without killing the Fade? Like, I fully believe that in the books he killed that Fade. There's no way that Fade let him get away with. He tackled that Fade and was trying to shank him, and he only got away with a broken leg after the Fade. After he tackled the Fade. No, and the Fade never came after Matt and Rand. No, he killed that Fade.
The Fade was just like, okay, are they gone? Let's get a couple beers, and then they had beers together, and then they did tap dancing, and then he broke his leg tap dancing, and then the Fade was like, no, sorry about that, bro. Anyway, I gotta go, and then just leave.
And the reason that all happened is because Taviran.
Yeah. So either Tom kills the Fade, or because I think the only way Tom is getting out of that situation is if he kills the Fade. Especially since like in the town, like there's kind of some because they're in a town rather than an abandoned farm in the middle of nowhere. There's no real like way out, I would say. So
that woman got 3 seasons.
Admittedly, the CW has no standards, and yeah, they've gotten greenlit for I think 3 seasons, and it's gotten a fairly high rating. It's gotten about somewhere in the vicinity of 16,000 reviews, and it's gotten like a 4 out of 5. I think that they're going to keep going. Amazon doesn't really cancel their shows.
Well, they canceled Sneaky Pete.
Freaking casuals.
Pinky Blinders? Or what was it?
No, Sneaky Pete.
I don't know what that is.
It's a show produced by Bryan Cranston that is like he's the producer for it. And it's about a con man who takes the identity of his prison cellmate in order to get out of prison early, but then he has to pretend to be that guy because he goes back to this guy's the family that he hasn't seen in a long time, and basically pretends to be his cellmate, and he has to keep up this con so that he can get their money. It's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good, but it got two seasons, and then it was cancelled.
Yeah, episode 5 is bad. We will get to episode 5, and we will vent about that particular piece of crap.
Yeah. Sadly, episode 4 is probably the best one. And since it's also the one that's the least canon so far, that's really interesting.
Yeah. And
Well,
kind of the weirdest thing, like, it's got the most action out of all of them.
Oh, yeah, the Aes Sedai farting all over the forest.
Yeah. Where it's just boom. And it's just kind of uncreative, like ground explosion, where it's kind of just obvious that they're just using mortars to save on budget.
Well, this is Amazon. It's not like they have money.
Oh, wait. No, they do. Amazon stocks are $5,000 a share. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. They obviously just can't afford to put time and effort and money into making a beloved series into a TV series.
I think they just blew all the channeling budget in episode 1 when Moraine was calling down lightning and destroying the Wine Spring Inn.
Oh yeah, well they had to destroy the Wine Spring Inn because that was a symbol from the books, and we can't have that.
Yeah. But then we have the fight where, like, we have a lot of, like, White Tower politicking, which has some good dialogue, but the problem becomes in when at least one of the scenes is now rendered pointless.
Oh, which scene?
The scene between Karine, Nagashi, and Steppen, because both of them are dead by episode 5.
Oh. Well, we needed that scene between those two because they're both getting fridged and you have to care about them.
Yeah, and apparently she's the Captain General of the Green Aja, according to the behind-the-scenes features, which I'm just like, boo, lazy buggers.
Damn! Wow, this is so sad. Anyway.
Yeah. And
yeah. Oh no, she's dead. Anyway.
Yeah, we get more of a fridge doll. Yeah, definitely. They're fridged.
To be fair, in the books, I think I don't even know if you even meet. I think they pronounce it Karine, but I don't even think you even meet her. I think it's just off screen. Like it's just like you just hear that she's killed.
Yeah, she's in New Spring and New Spring only. She's one of the Dragon Reborn hunters that Tamara Espenye sends out, and she gets killed along with her warder by being pushed off of a ship.
I feel like it's like, isn't it kind of ambiguous? Like it's not like you don't know that it's Dark Friends, but you're like it's probably Dark Friends. Yeah. But do you even meet the character? I feel like it's just a name that you.
I think they just maybe meet her in passing. Like they see her in passing, but there's no like engagement happening. But yeah, didn't meet Min or Elaine before going to Tarvalon. I really think it's a really dumb exclusion. Especially since like I really am fairly worried that they will combine Leandrin and Elida. Those two characters do not work as a combined.
Very different.
Yeah. Elida's a bitch, but Leandrin's an evil bitch. Is how I would describe it.
Yeah, Leandrin knows she's doing fucked up shit. Like she knows she's just doing whatever she can to get to as far up this kind of dark friend hierarchy as spoilers, by the way.
Yeah. We warned you. You were warned.
Yeah.
This is book readers. We're going to be bringing in how this affects the other books.
But she just wants to climb up that ladder as far as she can and get as much benefits as she can possibly get out of it. And she knows she's doing fucked up shit. Elida's like, no. This is what I have to do, even though it's really dumb, and even though it's really like narcissistic. Like she's really like, I have to be in charge because I'm the only one who could possibly know the right thing to do. So I have to be in absolute control, and she thinks that's the right thing to do.
And is a massive megalomaniac.
Yeah. And to support your idea that they're combining Lenandrin and Elaine or Elida. Don't know why I'm not good with these names. Anyway, to support that they're too many E's indeed. To support that they're combining the two characters is that when after Rand meets Elida, he compares her to Moraine. He's like, Moraine is silk hiding steel, and with Elida, the silk is an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the show, both Moraine and Lenandrin try to ferret information out of Nanaive. Moraine is successful, Lenandrin is not, and Nanaive really does not like Lenandrin after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she seems like she says pretty straight up she's a snake, which is accurate.
She's a snake?
Yeah. And then we get the fight. The fight's fine. I don't really have a problem with the fight with the dragon sword. It feels a bit small. And I kind of understand. It kind of would have been a little bit better if they'd had added some CGI army and had more of some more tower guard with the Aes Sedai rather than just their warders. It's kind of but it kind of just makes it feel low budget. Though the thing that mainly makes it feel low budget is in episode 5 when it's just like they're just repainting Shadar Logoth as the set dressing because they built an entire thing of Shadar Logoth. They might as well use it.
Yeah.
But then we get to the fight between Logain and the Aes Sedai. We do get a good scene between Logain and Moraine where she's talking to him about the Dragon Reborn. She's trying to find out, are you the Dragon Reborn? And just determines, no, you're insane. And then tries to shield him. And it takes a lot of effort for the Aes Sedai to shield him. But that kind of begs the question, why didn't they just come out and have everybody jump in and shield him? Because no man can resist 8 sisters in a link. That's too much for you.
And then that's the whole plot hole. Like this episode, Lenandrin and Karine are like, there are only 3 sisters in this camp who are strong enough to shield him, and we have to work in pairs. But it's like you can link you can just have the rest of them link while you rest up.
Yeah.
But they don't bring up linking until the very end, where they link and then gentle him on the spot.
Yeah, after Nynaeve has done her Super Saiyan group healing, which I would say that is a not very good choice by virtue in terms of its scale, because when Logain destroys Steppen's axes after Steppen goes nuts and tries to kill him, too many people, including people we've just barely met, are taken down, and including Lan and Moraine, and Nynaeve bursts out and heals all of them. It's like that kind of the stakes were too high for any tension to really be there. I think.
If it was just Lan, then that would be okay. That if it was just Lan, it would be kind of cool. It'd be kind of okay. There's a little bit of they had some development of attachment there and that conversation.
They're growing into friends.
I mean, anything is better than the books for that because there was hardly any development.
Yeah, that just came out of nowhere.
This is the one part where it's okay, the show. This is something the show can improve. A lot of other stuff, you're okay, keep it as close as possible. But this is okay, yeah, definitely do different stuff here.
Yeah, because I think Robert Jordan didn't. I think that kind of a common thing with Robert Jordan is that he doesn't really do people courting or falling in love very well.
Yeah, but once they're in the relationships, it's kind of some of it's pretty good. I think, but
I would
getting
agree.
there.
Like he does better when they're in the relationship. It's the getting into the relationship. It's a lot of insta love, if you noticed, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah, like I remember reading when I was rereading book 1, and near the end, Lan and Nynaeve are talking about how they love each other, and it's like, since when?
It's like, oh,
Yeah,
he's just reciting like poetry, and it's like, what?
Yeah, and like when Elaine talks about like I knew that I loved Rand the moment I saw him, and it was weird, and I don't know what I thought they would be more like
Taviran,
Yeah,
and it's just
Taviran.
like same with Min and kind of Avienda.
I think Avienda is a lot more understandable. You know
She's
what I mean? Like,
she's very much a tsundere.
there's a lot of time spent just like in the where he's like staying in his room and everything, and there's a lot of time, and I feel like it'll be very difficult to do in the show the way it is in the books, because in the books that you really feel like they've been for months,
and then finally she just like finally like she's just like, fine, I'll stop and give in to my hormones, and then they bone. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have something for that one. Where is it? Oh, must be in here.
Wait.
And then they fuck!
Oh, I love Crimson Rogue.
Bro.
Yeah. But then she gets Any other thoughts on anything you have to say, Space Washer?
Oh no, I was just gonna say you might get a lot of mileage out of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But not too many closing thoughts for episode 4. Just, I mean, probably
Logain
the best
is
of
the best boy. Logain is best boy, undoubtedly. And Alana seems like she's definitely a freak.
I liked him a lot more in, well, obviously we're getting on to episode 5, but I think in episode 4, I liked Logain. I liked the Logain scenes. I liked his acting and everything. In episode 5,
it looks like he's nuts.
It just doesn't fit with. It completely doesn't fit with, the mood of the books. Seeing him, in that equivalent situation, because it's so much more like he's like scary, he's intimidating. He's, even though he's in a cage, he's still like,
he had a commanding presence while in the cage, so you could have believed this man is the Dragon Reborn just based on his charisma and how he carries himself.
But instead, it's like he goes like full like we live in a society. He's just
he's like laughing his butt off, but he's laughing in a crazed, like he's laughing in kind of a Joker fashion.
I shit you not, Batman.
Yeah, I mean
he turns himself into a pickle.
Yeah, and he did laugh at the books, but at least in the book, he had a reason to laugh. He just saw Rand on the top of a thing, and he has Taveran's senses, so he's like, oh shit.
And that's so much better in the books because he's so far away, like because he's so much farther away, and it's the fact that he still is able to look Rand in the eyes that makes it so much more like, whoa, what the heck happened there?
And you could and you don't even notice that he looked at Rand or noticed Rand, because he's crazy. He's the man who can channel. He's obviously crazy.
And you honestly like look, and like in this show, it kind of seems like the camera is focused more on Matt than it is on Rand, which is kind of the annoying red herring. I just like,
let Rand have one thing.
He got to bust down a door.
That is not heroic. They're pretty much like punces the whole show. They don't really like get to do anything. Like in the books, like they at least like fight Trollocs, like stand up to Trollocs. And Rand has like moment where he's dragging his, like where he shows his force of will by dragging his father all the way down.
And Matt shouted something in the old tongue, and that was the first thought of, oh, maybe Matt's the one that the Dark One is after.
Yeah. I don't know if he's necessarily more Mazrim, because Mazrim Taim never comes off as crazy. He comes off as frighteningly sane.
Well, with the way Rand interacted with Mazrim, that definitely proves, or Mazrim Tame or whatever, that definitely proves that Rand was kind of, what was he even thinking about with that one? Because Tame always just came across as untrustworthy, and yet he gave Tame full reign over how to run the Black Tower.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was because it was like he clearly has more experience, in terms of time.
Rand was trained by one of the Forsaken.
I think there's also kind of the element of he didn't have time, was able to Rand didn't had to worry about running the government of two kingdoms, but even then he didn't really do a good job of that.
Hey, I gotta get going.
Alrighty. Yeah, let's just Blood Calls Blood. This is the worst episode. It actually retroactively makes the previous 4 episodes worse by virtue of how much is being cut. And
also Jean Farstrider is a woman.
It's sod off. I love Noel. Why you gotta do Noel so dirty?
And they ruined Best Boy Loyal too.
Yeah, Loyal looks really weird. I don't look like the look of Loyal.
The thing is, I don't mind. I think there's a lot about the performance that I actually like. I like the voice. I like the kind of slowness of the speaking. I like. There's a lot of things where it's okay, the performance isn't bad. It's actually pretty decent. It does kind of remind you of the audiobooks and. Michael Kramer, right? It sounds definitely reminds me of that kind of low kind of yes, Rand. You seem to be a veteran.
Rand, why are you doing this? You must not be so hasty.
Oh, so hasty, Rand. Yeah. But I think he kind of it's just the costume and the hair. I feel like the hair
is bad. The hair is really bad.
I feel like the expressive ears is kind of. I feel like we need expressive ears for Loyal. You know what I mean?
I would agree with that. Yeah. They made the Aes Sedai a lot weaker than they are in the books. And also, there's not very much variety to their combat channeling. There aren't fireballs. And most Aes Sedai wouldn't be exploding the ground. They would be attacking with fireballs or lightning.
Yeah, the most creative thing we got to see was Alana catching the arrows with air and then throwing them back.
Yeah, probably because that's fairly easy to do CGI-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And the weird thing is, this doesn't look like it has the same budget as something like Game of Thrones, even though this has $4 million per episode.
Yeah, well,
per season.
Game of Thrones can the fantasy elements in Game of Thrones are a lot less. It's a lot more infrequent. Until later, but it's
maybe a better comparison might be Witcher. It actually doesn't look as good as Witcher in some respects. I believe the cityscapes and some of the battles in Witcher are a little bit better.
Yeah.
And also, I like Geralt of Rivia way more than Geralt of Rivia gets way better development and character consistency than Rand ever gets and has gotten in the show.
Yeah.
Which
who even is Rand? There's nothing there.
Rand is a simp.
Yeah, he's a simp for really, really skinny farm girl. Madeline Madden, I think she's fine. She's an okay Egwene, but it's just she seems very frail compared to most of the other women in the Two Rivers. If you notice that, she's very, very skinny. And it kind of just you can't really, I don't believe that you've done a day of farm work.
Yeah.
And I buy Zoe Robbins more as a farm girl than I buy Madeline Madden. I think that partially is just because, like, I imagine that Zoe Robbins has been keeping herself in really good shape since she was a Power Ranger, and that probably required a lot of physical strain, and also, like, even in the behind the scenes, she was outrunning the trolley, or like easily keeping up with the trolley while she was running. So she's in really good physical shape. So I buy it with Zoe Robbins. It's harder for me to buy Madeline Madden, though I think that Madeline's doing okay with the material she's given.
It's just the material.
Yeah.
It's the problem.
Yeah.
And then this whole episode, they focus so much time on. I keep forgetting the warder's name. I'm going to call him Friggy now. His name is Friggy. They keep focusing.
Steppenwolf.
As I said, Fridge man.
They spend so much time on Friggy and how much he doesn't want to have gay sex, so he kills himself.
Yeah, Chad was saying, don't force straight men to be gay any more than you force a gay man to be straight.
But yeah, so we have this whole like torture scene with
Perrin and Egwene, that's kind of weak sauce torture, honestly.
Yeah.
And he makes some cuts. Like, he makes cuts, but they're like surface level cuts that you would make during a surgery that are designed to inflict the least amount of pain.
Yeah.
And it just bothers me that they had Egwene being the one who was in charge for during the whole interrogation instead of Perrin.
But she still had to do stuff. Do some pretty strenuous physical labor, I imagine.
Yeah, but it was Perrin who did all the talking in the book, but here in the show it has to be Egwene because woman.
Yeah.
And also there is kind of I do kind of understand that it's kind of annoying to do for a TV show, but the yellow eyes is kind of a weird thing where, like, I get what they're doing. Like, they're kind of doing, like, it kind of turns on and off, but, like, they kind of need to be there all the time because there's a lot of, like, especially with the white cloaks where they're like, oh shit, he has yellow eyes. You know what I mean?
Oh, I thought the catalyst for Perrin's eyes turning yellow was getting lightly scratched by the dagger the first time. Like, didn't they just stay yellow after that?
So,
like Perrin's eyes being
I don't
scratched
think
by
that
the
has
dagger?
anything to do with the.
He just kind of turns permanent. Like, they just his eyes are. They just kind of remark that his eyes are yellow when he gets rescued by Moraine and Land and Nynaeve.
Yeah, but in the show, didn't his eyes turn yellow after he got slightly slashed by Eamon Valda, and then they stayed that way for the rest of the episode?
Was there not a bit before where they turned yellow?
It seems like they go back and forth when they turn yellow.
It's like a state. Like, it's like,
how is he supposed
Hulk mode? Yeah.
How is he supposed to be Perrin Golden Eyes if his eyes don't stay golden?
Yeah. Because it is a pretty big thing that they are like that all the time. Because when he like goes into some village or whatever or some town, and they're like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And especially people are like, oh, he must be a dark finder or a shadow spawn because he has these golden eyes. And if he doesn't have them all the time, the people who are making the claim are going to look a little crazy when they're going, look, don't you see his eyes? And they're like, what are you talking about? They're not golden eye, So. Yeah, that would be a little bit annoying.
It seems as though like the eye contact thing is kind of a problem throughout fantasy shows where like Emilia Clarke's couldn't wear like purple contacts because
it's just annoying, it's irritating, or I can't act as well. I get that, but have you ever seen Farscape?
It's modern day. You can just add them and make them golden in post.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing, and I think that's probably fine. I imagine it's kind of a little bit of work to try and like recolor the eyes and try to make it so it's not like poorly composited. Like, at some point, Loyal's face looks weirdly rubbery. Like when it looks like it's CGI face, like when he's moving.
Yeah.
And it's kind of annoying that it's just like, ugh. Yeah, and Elias is gone, which kind of like doesn't really explain that this is older than the power. This is just kind of primitive man more than the power.
And we don't get Perrin really interacting with the wolves, so there's no setup or payoff for Hopper.
Yeah.
Literally one lick, like the licking of the wind is like the one wolf thing at this point. Also, this is a month that, we've gone so there's been a month time skip, and nothing significant with the wolves has happened in that whole time.
And also, like, they've been traveling with the Tinkers being indoctrinated, and Perrin gives the worst argument against pacifism ever with the dogs eating things.
Yeah, it's just a bizarre comment.
Yeah,
what do you think of Aram?
What do you think the arm is fine.
I think he's pretty cool. I actually like his like performance and everything.
Yeah, I like Aram a lot more than I like him in the books. Like Aram's is a little bit more chill. He seems like more of a like just passive aggressive dick.
They're kind of planting the seeds of him like going away from the Tinker lifestyle. Like they're kind of planting that early. They're kind of making him a little bit more cynical, from the get-go.
Yeah, and I agree with Chat. The show is horrible because no Bella.
Yeah, or at least like Bella has vanished after episode 2. There is no Bella anymore. Bella
she was probably the horse that they showed dying.
No. Egwene yells Bella after some the thing runs. The horses start, the rest of the horses start running. I don't think it's a specific horse that's named.
Oh.
It's amazing how little happens in terms of like, non-filler plot in this episode, like stuff that's actually plot progression from the books. Like all that really happens is they meet up. Like so the main characters, other than Egwene and Perrin, they kind of reunite, at least with Nynaeve. They see Logain. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like that's literally it, because the whole rest of the episode is this warder that nobody gives a shit about. It's like, no, I'm sad about this person that all of the viewers knew for like one or two scenes.
But we had to have focused time on him so that way we know why Lan's sad that he died.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lan was so sad that he had to rip open his shirt and rub his nipples.
Yeah. And I think that them being in Tarvalon creates a lot of problems going forward.
It creates all the problems, like the whole point with them being in Camelin, or however that's pronounced, that just really sets the urgency of it, because they need to leave Camelin, but now they're trapped there all because of the Trollocs surrounding the city, and then that leads to the Waygate thanks to Loyal happening to be there. And it also causes problems between Moraine and the Emerlian seat, because Moraine was supposed to go to Tarvalon first, but she couldn't. She had to jump right to another place.
Yeah, but the whole reason they go to the Eye of the World is because they can't go right to Tarvalon. So it's like,
it's because
so we know they have the way.
Because Loyal says, well, it's because they go to the Eye of the World because Moraine has already been there once, and Loyal asks her. There was the story about the man who came to the steading, dying, and then said so he needs to blind the Eye of the World, which in the companion is revealed that that's Jane Farstrider. Which, goodbye.
Ooh,
you also
neat.
see him in Little Camp. And then Perrin talks about how the Tinkers told them a story about an Aiel maiden of the spear telling them about the Eye of the World. And so Moraine decides 2 at the same time. this isn't a coincidence. We need to go to the Eye of the World. And the only way to get there is through the Waygate in a gate in the bottom of the cellar.
Yeah, I don't like the designs that we've seen for the Waygates. I feel like it,
the doors are supposed to open when you pull a leaf off of it.
It's supposed to be all like cool and naturey, It's supposed to have a sense of nature.
They literally grew from seeds in the ground. I don't know how that makes sense, but it does.
They could have. I think that they could what they could have done is just put it on. I think like it would have been easier. Like it seems like they constructed an entire that whole thing is a practical set piece. It would have been a lot easier to just make a slightly intricate, smaller scale design in the bottom of a set. It would have been a lot easier. And
I feel
a little bit better, more accurate.
I feel like the effect would be kind of similar, but obviously more like with like vines and stuff and plants and whatever. But like similar to in the first Harry Potter movie where they go into Diagon Alley, like where he taps the wall and it goes like like where the wall opens and everything. I always you could do it. I felt like it would be kind of like that, like that, but like with like more vines and planty stuff, but like of stone. Like I feel like that will be that's kind of like the similar effect that I was thinking.
Yeah. The main thing that this kind of screws up is how are they going to contrive a way to keep the Great Hunt plot with the dagger when they can just heal Matt now?
Yeah, well, obviously, he hasn't. At this stage in the story, was it diagnosed that it was the dagger? Like, did they know that it was the dagger at this point?
Yeah, Moraine.
Moraine walks in and immediately is like, get away from him.
And that was in Camelin when it's in Camelin when she's like, oh, it's the this dagger, right?
Yeah, and then she said that they need
to go to Tarval and get like a fairly large number of sisters.
So they can't. So if they diagnose him in Tarvalon, then it doesn't really make sense for them to leave until that's done. But then you can't do that because you need him not to be healed, because that's part of that's what makes part of what I think makes Great Hunt more compelling than Eye of the World is that the stakes are a lot easier to understand. They're a lot more concrete because it's like, there's the idea of the horn, which is still a pretty vague goal. Like you understand that it's important, but it's not as easy to understand as the ring in Lord of the Rings, because like that's like, okay, we get the ring, we know exactly what it does, we know exactly what we do with it, we know exactly where But in the Horn of Valir is a little bit more vague, but the dagger makes a lot more sense as, okay, we've got to get that dagger back. We got to follow the horn because the dagger is with the horn, right? It makes a lot more sense as a goal because you can see the sickness. You can see, okay, he needs to get that dagger or he will die or become corrupted completely or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's a much more concrete goal to understand.
It gives Rand a personal stake in finding the horn.
And I'm not sure about that he should have the knife, since we haven't Padan Feng. We've only seen this episode resurface.
Well, he only gets it in Faldara.
He gets it in Faldara, which we are going to see. But
we have to have the trailer shots.
Yeah, and there are leaked photos of the Blight, which I'm not going to show here. I haven't even seen them, so I don't know how. Apparently, it looks cool. I haven't seen it, but that's where they're going to go.
They're probably going to mess that up too. Might as well rip the Band-Aid off.
Well, for sure, the next episode is called The Flame of Tarvalon. Then episode 7 is The Dark Along the Ways. And then episode 8 is The Eye of the World.
Right.
So
it's going to be then. So the next episode is going to be all of the scenes and pretty much all the scenes that are in the White Tower, where it's like, they're probably going to have. I think, are they going to do like getting them to re-swear their oaths? Is that how they're going to get the oath rod scene into it?
I think so. I get or at least like they're gonna re-swear the oath to speak no word that is not true, to just kind of make sure. Maybe we're definitely going to get the kind of have the Moraine and Swan scenes from Great Hunt transplanted to here, which I guess, but it's just that how exactly is it going to like Faldara?
Yeah,
and also like how is like if they don't heal Matt now, it's gonna be really weird unless they're like trying to keep them away. But then again, he's traveling with Moraine.
And Moraine would be able to recognize that there's something wrong with him right away because she did in the book.
And also he just looks like he's going nuts.
And we know that Moraine is there when they go through the Waygate. We know they haven't gone through the Waygate yet. So we know for a fact that Moraine sees Matt before they go through the Waygate, which means like they have, it's not like she doesn't see him like between now and Faldara. So
speaking of Moraine seeing Matt, was Moraine in the procession that was showing off Logain as they went through the city? Because
I think she was. I don't know if.
Well,
Let me actually watch that scene since actually no, she wasn't. She was already in the White Tower. It was Ilana and Leandrin in the carriage going through.
Yeah, because if Moraine was in that parade, then she most definitely would have spotted Matt and Rand. She's a very observant lady.
Yeah. We still haven't had the Aiel War flashback scenes that were in the trailers, right? We haven't seen the. I was looking at the scenes again, and you can tell by the number of rings on their sleeves what the rank was. So I think that first one from that first trailer is actually the first captain, and there is another scene that has the right number of rings on the sleeves to be Tam. Because he's the second captain.
Yeah.
All right. Well, was there anything else we should add? Because
I had a long day at work.
Friggy. The only thing left is Friggy.
No, Friggy died.
F.
Yeah, they spend way too much time on Steppen and his depression, and then his eventually, and then his suicide at the end of the episode. It's well acted, but it feels like pointless filler. I really don't like what they've done here.
I feel like you could have done this all in a before credits scene. Like you could have just done him being sad about it and killing himself, and then the credits. You know.
But we needed extra motivation for why Moraine would have Lan's border bond passed to someone else. We have to see it
for 40 minutes.
I just call BS. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. It's dumb. I just can't take it.
It also annoys me how dismissive Rand is of Loyal. Like in both of the scenes Loyal's in, Rand is ignoring him or cutting him off or just not conversing with the Ogier that he thought would have been a legend. I hate it.
Yeah, he's not surprised at all. He's not like, whoa, what is that?
Bad direction or bad acting?
And also with the design, you don't get the impression that he would be mistaken for a Trolloc. You know, you don't get that impression that anyone could possibly mistake this guy for a Trolloc. You know, it just seems, In the books, you can kind of see it. You can kind of like, okay, yeah, they're pretty.
It looks kind of cowish.
Yeah,
like, especially with the ears. Yeah, they just barely released a Wheel of Time preview, though weirdly enough, I can't find it in anywhere other than Wheel of Time Theory on YouTube as his reaction. I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense. It's to me. I I don't think they are going to do that. I think it is still going to be Rand. I just think that they've done a very poor job of setting him up as the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, I
or
don't
even
see
just
how
giving him time
they could do
as a
that.
main character.
Well, if they properly set it up, then it wouldn't be a surprise.
Which is annoying. I don't. It's really frustrating.
I feel like they've set up
And
so many
in the
red
next episode-
herrings. Sorry, I
It's
feel like they
just
set
gonna
up
be
so many
unsettling.
red herrings that you're just gonna be like, but they didn't set it up to be Rand, you know? And it's like,
Oh yeah, they did. He had that one scene where he's like, "Hey,
Yeah, that one scene.
that
There's almost
mountain."
like right now. There's like, yeah, there's honestly like Twitter wars happening between like various people who think it's the whichever like they're standing for their own teams, almost like who's going to end up on the Iron Throne with
God.
Game of Thrones.
Oh,
See, with
so
Game
are
of
there?
Thrones, it makes sense.
Wait, so are there people who just watch this show who are standing for someone besides Rand to be the Dragon Reborn, and all the book readers are like, no, it's Rand.
No.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't looked it up on Twitter, but apparently, like a lot of people are like some people think it's Matt, some people Nynaeve, other people like Wayne, but it's clearly one of the three boys because they are the ones that have the nightmare about Balsamon. I am interested to see what will happen since, like, I've looked at the trailer, the promo, and it looks like you got some. Oh, they just released a preview scene, I think.
Oh, is it as bad as that one preview scene they did before the show launched?
Which one?
I
The
haven't
90s
seen
one?
it.
No,
I
they
haven't
did.
seen it, but
The one preview scene I saw before I actually saw the show was when Moraine enters the inn.
Which was
I saw the
bad.
one of Nynaeve in the cave
Oh,
or whatever.
that was bad. That was really bad. That was
Yeah, I
awful.
I hated that scene of Moraine interrogating Nynaeve because that was just so sloppy on Moraine's part. She was obviously fishing for Nynaeve's age, and rather than keeping that mysterious, she just gives it up when she's like, "Oh, are you 25?" Yeah, I keep saying it, but I'm pretty sure that if Book Moraine met Show Moraine, she would slap the shit out of Show Moraine.
If she could reach.
If she could reach.
If she could reach.
Yeah. Well, the explanation I
Yeah.
heard for why
It's,
Moraine thinks one of the girls could also be the Dragon Reborn is really stupid. The show writers are saying, well, you know, it's from a prophecy that was happened thousands of years ago, so they think it's accurate, but not 100%.
Yeah, no. I don't. It just no.
And Moraine heard the prophecy 20 years ago. She witnessed it firsthand.
I just think it's really, really dumb to like. They even mention in episode 4 that they talk about many men and women have claimed to be the dragon. It just seems so stupid when you think about that. You know what I mean? It's so dumb, the idea that there are women like it. It's me. It's just I don't know, man. It just.
Yeah, like if a woman claims to be the Dragon Reborn, that's not an issue. Like, there's no tension there. I think the White Tower would be like
women can still be evil
over the idea of people.
You know what I mean? Like
They could.
women can still be evil. You know, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, going through the series, like we know this, right? We know even like women that can be evil, but it's still just so dumb. Like the idea.
They won't go mad. There's
so
no
fucking
inherent
stupid.
There's no inherent tension in a woman claiming to be the Dragon Reborn like a man claiming to be the Dragon Reborn.
Because I think the whole fact that it's a man is like the point.
Yeah,
You know?
the point is that he will go mad and kill lots of people.
Yeah. You don't need to even say that in the prophecy. Just by saying he, you know, he will be born and he will be a powerful channeler, and that's enough. That's enough to be like, oh shit.
And I'm just, I don't know what they're going to do. Like this episode, they're going to have to seriously BS their way through the next 3 episodes, if even just to make season 2 sort of follow the Great Hunt, unless they're going to make even more radical changes in season 2, which that's actually really concerning based on this episode.
They're probably going to make Alana and her warders more prominent so we can have gay characters on screen more often. Brownie points.
Though I am looking forward to the inevitable problems that are going to happen when Tylan gets involved.
Who?
Yeah.
Oh, Tylan. Oh, I don't know.
Either one.
Also, one of Alana's warders dies, so that's probably going to lose them all.
They're going to make a whole big gay no
barrier gaze thing.
No, my gay polycule person.
It does seem like the White Tower is now the home for troubled boys. That the Warders a club for troubled boys.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the White Tower is shaped like a dick, so
a dick and balls.
Yeah. And especially just my dad tried to kill me when I was 12. Can I get a little bit of context for that one? It's a bit odd.
Did he do it on purpose, or was it just an accident with the axe?
I mean, to be fair, I was trying to kill him at the time, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, I when Tylan and Alana, when Alana forcibly bonds Rand against his will, I hope I don't know how they're going to portray that. I'm a little bit scared of how they're going to portray Tylan and Matt.
They'll probably play it straight because a woman can't rape a man.
I'm not sure.
I don't think that woke people necessarily have that perspective, actually. A lot of the woke people in this think that Tylan and Matt was handled distastefully in the books, and that they're of the perspective that no, this is rape, full on this is rape, no bones about it. I think that they're probably just going to change it to it's just a romance.
Unless, well, I suppose that's one character. They're not going to gender swap the character. That's for sure. They're not going to do that.
The only one they've gender swapped so far is Jane Farstrider, which I'm just okay, so that leads to 2 options: either unreliable narrator, Jane is not going to be in the show, or Jane's going to be a crotchety old lady.
Well, or it's probably that first one. They probably want to use that as evidence of, the prophecies or history or whatever was poorly recorded, so you can't always trust it to be accurate.
Well, the problem is this is within semi-living memory.
Yeah, exactly. The prophecy was in living memory. Moraine heard it 20 years ago.
Well, I was just thinking the Travels of Jane Farstrider is only a few hundred years ago. This is Jane Farstrider. A young Jane Farstrider was the person who brought in Lan's dad's adversary. So
yeah,
I'm interested to see how that gets introduced.
I don't know.
We thought that they were going to be the first 2 books combined. It was possible, but because we heard Rafe Judkins say there was going to be Eye of the World and Great Hunt and a little bit of Dragon Reborn, but it kind of turns out it's mainly just they're pulling information from Great Hunt and at least 1 or 2 events like Moraine and Swan from the Great Hunt. Which, fine, I guess. But yeah, 8 episodes, an hour each, 4 hours to get to each book could work. Seen it before, could have worked, but just it's both elongated and rushed at the same time, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, well, they have to rush the stuff from the book so that way they can get to their much more important and clearly better original content. Like Friggy.
Yeah. It's always like that whole episode 5 was just so bad. It really was so contrived. Like we were talking about this earlier, but when like Loyal comes in, it's like, by the way, I was in the tower grounds and I ran into this woman with a distinctive Two Rivers braid, and Nynaeve just comes out from behind him. And thing is, even if like Rand was talking about anybody from the Two Rivers having a braid, it would be Egwene, since he thinks Nynaeve is dead.
Rand, I've been reading this great book. It's called The Script to Wheel of Time, Episode 5.
It said I should go to the White Tower, even though that makes no sense, since I was chased around town the first time I got here.
Oh yeah, that bit.
Could you imagine if the script of the show exists within the show as like an ancient text?
Yeah. Well, it is another turning of the wheel, so apparently this is in the future.
Like they have the script of the show as this ancient like prophecy.
Yeah, and like it does not make the remotest bit of sense that the people of Tarvalon would chase Loyal around.
No,
at all. That does not make any sense.
Yeah, especially if they were being remotely faithful to the books. Tarvalon is an ogre-built city, and the Aes Sedai pay top dollar to keep it maintained. People would see Ogier regularly there, semi-regularly.
Yes. Yeah, like they see them all the time in Karine and in Tyr, so much so that they have Ogier rooms, even in just some podunk random like border towns in like a coastal town in, I believe it was either Gildan. I think it was Gildan, that when Perrin meets Fail and runs into those Hunters of the Horn, there were an Ogier rooms.
Yeah, Loyal was so happy to have
Was it
a real bed?
No, it was before they got on the boat to Ilion.
Okay.
After Perrin freed Gaul and killed some White Cloaks, they had to flee the city immediately.
Oh yeah.
Loyal was so happy to finally have a bed that actually fit, and then they had to immediately get on the boat.
Yeah, in the show he just doesn't look big enough to require special rooms, you know. He just looks kind of big. Like he's not that big.
And he doesn't look inhuman enough. Like he just looks like a big guy with weird hair and a slightly weird shaped nose.
Yeah, the only other thing that really sets him apart from a human is his unusually deep voice.
Yeah. Yeah, just that whole, it just feels like there's some, and Lan's friendship with Steppen, Daniel Henney's giving it his all. In that scene at the funeral, but I don't buy their friendship. They did not do a good job of setting up. It's kind of like with Tom. They didn't do a good job with developing the relationship with Tom, Matt, and Rand. He's just there and then he's dead. Or at least then he's gone.
Well, maybe we could have bought Lan and Friggy caring about each other if they slept together first. Gotta get practice.
Yeah.
And during the gay sex scene, that's when we get the void talk. The talk with the flame and the void.
Oh, we want to... you got to fill the void somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. We have thoroughly dissected all of the differences way the show, like kind of how the show kind of drops the ball in a lot of cases, and also the major kind of like just episode 5 very much like retroactively, like before I think like my dad and my mom and my dad were like liking the episodes like 1 through 4. They thought they were fine and really good, but like this episode, like they were like, no, this is bad, and it kind of makes the other ones kind of less good. Actually kind of retroactively makes the other ones kind of worse, because it kind of shows how much, like, because they've skipped over so much and they put in so much filler here, they just don't, it just kind of feels, it just makes the previous episodes less good. Yeah, that would have been better.
Yeah, I thought that's what they were gonna do. Yeah, like,
that would have been better. That would have been so much better. Like Lan, and also just like in the like, I don't know, like if they're actually going to do this as well in the show, but Lan would not be freaking out that much over somebody dying. He would definitely not do that in the books. Like he would not be freaking out like this. Like he, in the book, A New Spring, he says, "Say a prayer for the dead and ride on." Like he is fine. He is inured to death happening.
Yeah, but how are we supposed to know Lan is sad if he doesn't rip off his shirt and rub his nipples?
Because they don't understand stoicism, and they think it's toxic masculinity, which is absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, he didn't even say, "I am sad." How am I supposed to tell?
Yeah. He could have been happy. That might have been a happy scream of pain.
You can't just have characters announce how they're feeling. That makes me feel angry.
Yeah, the only other thing that I thought was like relatively interesting is the Forsaken figurines, and I'm pretty sure that I can guess at least most of them. Some of them
is
are.
it 8? Is there 8 total?
Yeah, there's 8 figurines, which
rips the 5 who didn't get included.
Yeah, since from what I could see, it looked like there was Ishamael, Lanfear, Grandal, Cimarog, Samael. I said Osmodian, right?
No, not
I
yet.
don't think you did.
Okay. And I don't think that the others were like characterized, at least like the images. I actually look that up really. Let's see. Forsaken statues.
Demandred? Is Demandred one of them?
So let me actually pull it up. I actually found the image on, I think, Reddit.
Ooh, Reddit.
Like there's just kind of an image right here. I'll share my screen.
A funny thing I heard is that on Reddit, the only place where you can openly talk about the bad parts about the show or how it's bad is r/White Cloaks,
which is hilarious.
Yeah, the White Cloaks are the last bastion of truth.
And like you'll get banned just, and like I know like there are certain Wheel of Time Discord servers that will like openly just mock r/White Cloaks and think they're terrible people.
Okay, so so we obviously Lanfear is one of them. Which one's Lanfear?
I think that Lanfear.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
This kind of looks like Lanfear. This one's probably Grandal because of the boobs.
Yep, she had the big titties.
Huge bazonkers.
Yeah.
Ginormous badonkahunkaroos.
Yep. I think this is Osmodian because he's got a banjo or a
guitar. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking that was one of the first ones we saw who had to wear the weird mask. Balthamel?
Balthamel? No, I don't think that's Balthamel.
He's like the most obvious one to cut, isn't it? Like, or is it?
Yeah.
Well, hang on. Which one's the one that's
the old
Halima?
Arangar. That's Balthamel. Yeah, that's Balthamel. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that Snake Lady the second from the left? You think that's Mogideon?
I think that this one is Cimarog because of the dreads. Because it kind of looks because like Simrog is like African black, like through and through, and that is a very Egyptian design.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
So
what's the far left one then?
Far left, I don't know.
Is that Megiddian?
I think that's a good possibility that that's Megiddian because Masana didn't really have any distinct characteristics.
Yeah, I think that is kind of true. But I feel like Masana, the purpose of Masana is that it's that one that's in the White Tower. You know what I mean? So that could be, they could just have Megiddian do all that stuff.
They start cutting down on the Forsaken. That's just going to ruin all the imagery. There were 13 of them. That's a very cursed number.
And it's the fact that 13 is also the number needed to like turn someone.
Yeah. I'm honestly not a big fan of the being able to forcibly turn someone who can channel.
Yeah. I think it only happens to the Forsaken since they're sold to the Shadow.
So so what's the second from the right then? Yeah.
Second to the right, I have no idea.
Demandred, maybe?
Possibly. Kind of the theory here is like
oh yeah, Raven.
Gideon or Masana?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Mogedion.
so
I think I'm thinking Mogedion because she's a little bit more plot relevant.
Obviously Samael due to his beard and shortness. Oh,
Yeah,
he had a Napoleon complex?
Well, he's slightly shorter than he was shorter than Luz Theron, and that always bugged him.
Oh, Napoleon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then anyway, the next one is Ishmael.
Shamael for sure. This is definitely Lanfear because she's got like kind of long hair moon imagery.
Oh, if they
that would be interesting, I suppose. I'm not sure.
Well, maybe, but it would be a bad idea because one of them was the guy who invented Trollocs, and the other is just
a hedonist.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of like what they do in the story, but like Balthamel only exists in order to be reincarnated as Arangar and do some shenanigans in the kind of rebel White Tar. That's really the only purpose of that. Like I feel like you could almost completely cut that and it wouldn't change that much.
So. I would agree. And you could cut Osangar pretty easily as well.
So Agenor and Osangar. So that's
if I remember correctly in the books, they didn't even realize that they had actually killed one of the Forsaken when they killed Osangar again.
Yeah, because he was what's the name of the character? He was
Corlan Deshiva.
Yeah, Deshiva. Yeah. So that's kind of
It seems like this one's the unknown. I think like because it looks like it almost looks like a pharaoh death mask. So
I think it might be.
That seems Demandred to me, but
possibly, yeah.
Could also be Ravahin, but I think they'd want Demandred to have a statue since he's he only plays.
Are they combining them? Is that possible?
Well, no, because Ravahin's used compulsion to seduce Morghese and take over.
It would be so
Andor.
Andor. It would be really weird if like he thinks that like if Demandred is combined with Ravine and gets with the supposed reincarnation of Ileana Sunhair's mom. It's weird. But it seems as though like this one's kind of the unknown quantity.
Demandred's kind of weird because Demandred is literally hardly does anything until the very, very end. So
he's kind of the big, kind of almost like the big boss of
in a way,
the last battle.
Yeah, in a way, he
Yeah.
was sort of a mystery box leading up to the very end because you're like, where the hell is this guy? Everyone was wondering about it. And then it's revealed, and it's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Of course, there's the kind of the issue of like a thing that only makes sense in a book, like the idea of, is
character being off
yeah,
screen.
well, I was more gonna say like, is Mazrim Taim Demandred? Is he? Because in a book, it's like there's similarities to the description, but it's like you can't really do that in the show because it's like, how do you misdirect that? How do you can't really do that same misdirection on a show in the same way, unless do you think they might actually just do that in the show, like actually the thing that was a theory and just go, actually we're just going to do that, we're just going to make that a thing.
Probably.
Time and Dread, I don't know, especially since like Time is firmly established as separate from Demandra by the end of the books, and is actually kind of separate by book 9. Like it's pretty clear that they're separate in book 9,
and they do have different, like, I suppose they do kind of have different roles because they
Oh, it could be Bilal, the guy who was only in book 3 for a bit and then died.
That's a possibility. Yeah, it's just kind of like he doesn't really have that many, like, kind of like, doesn't kind of look like a Tutankhamun mask. Like,
I guess so.
Like
Seems
kind of like where it's like where like there's kind of like the thing around it and the face mask, but I really don't know. Maybe it's Ravine. I'm not sure. Since maybe it's like the 7 deadly sins, only it's 8. Like avarice, Grandal's lasciviousness. I don't know. It seems as though like, but for like this one's the only one that I'm like fairly like not. These 2 are the ones I'm not sure about. All of the other 6 I'm pretty sure about. The other ones I'm with the ones on with this one right here and this one I have no idea. It's pretty unclear.
Yeah. Plus, it's tough to tell which Forsaken the show writers will think is actually important enough to include, and which ones they're going to be like, yeah, just cut them.
So, what do you think are like the most important ones? Because I would say like Maggedian's pretty important. Obviously, Ishamael is like very very important, right? He's like probably the most important one. But I'd say Maggedian is very important. Lanfear is very important, and Asmodean as well. Asmodean and Grendel as well. But I think the other one's not so much. I think Asmodean is actually really important, even though he's only really in one
and a half.
1.5, right? But I feel like he's probably one of the most important ones.
Yeah, and just the fact that the fact that they're kind of showing him depicted with a guitar.
Yeah.
Tells me that that's Asmodean, because none of the other Forsaken like music.
Well, I just find it tough to really cut any of them, since they do have even though they don't have a big part in the story, they still have an effect on the background, because Orsengard did make the Trollocs, and then the Thommel's just cannon fodder, and to show off the dark irony of the Dark One.
And Samael, like, it seems like they are showing Samael. I'm pretty at least like this is definitely Samael. Just the beard, as well as kind of like and like it looks like he's pounding his fist into like he's angry about something.
Well, Masana, she was the one who was trying to take over the White Tower or something, right?
Yeah.
She's the one in the White Tower. I wouldn't say that she's trying to take over the White Tower so much as she's trying to undermine it and just keep the like create conflict and chaos within the White Tower.
Yeah.
I suppose what do you call it? Alviarin kind of already serves that role, kind of, even though she's not being Forsaken,
directly instructed. She is being directly instructed on what to do by Masana. I think that you could kind of just have Alviarin fit that role, though. It would be interesting. A theory, just a possible combining that I don't think would work was Alviarin and Leandrin. Seems like it would be a weird.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure.
I don't think they would do that, but it's weird.
That's another. I don't think. Obviously, I don't think Alviarin's obviously been cast. Yeah.
No,
but,
I don't. They've cast a few Aes Sedai, but I think like they're kind of waiting for a little bit. But definitely I think that they're like they have to use Lanfear because Lanfear is extremely important. I don't think they'll cut Lanfear, and Samael is pretty much like at least like the overarching villain for 3 books. And even though like his ending is extremely disappointing, or he just gets sniped, from afar with Balefire.
Well, I think I kind of like that though, because I feel like that's like that's part of what makes it like we're not gonna have some big epic fight just because that would be epic. We're gonna do the sensible thing, which is use this power that we have to do the most. Like we're not gonna go, oh, but what about fairness? What about having a fair fight? Like, no, I have this really ridiculously powerful ability, and I can avoid having a proper fight. That's kind of one thing I like about the books is that characters are intelligent with their powers,
true.
So.
Yeah, I mean, like just like it's built up for a while, and like it's kind of done fairly quickly.
Yeah, there is a lot of that where it's there's interesting stuff happening throughout the book, but then at the end, it's like you're kind of like, okay, Rand, especially normally Rand is like he has this. Kind of plan, and he's been kind of sitting on it, and then at the end of the book it's kind of like, okay, it's all coming together, I'm gonna do this thing, bam bam, yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I think that was well, it was when Balefire was being used in the Dragon Reborn on the Darkhounds, because that's the only way to kill Darkhounds, because Darkhounds are kind of OP. The only way to kill them is Balefire.
They're not as OP as what do you call it, the Golem?
Yeah. Though at least the Golem has the Golem actually is the Golem only can be killed by throwing him into the infinite void of a skimming gate.
Well, that's how they killed him. It's not necessarily the only way to do it.
It's the only way we know of, so far.
Just shove like coat him in fox head medallions and make him.
Could you just transport him out of orbit? I mean, does that even work? Yeah,
I don't know.
Like basically like cars in JoJo,
or the aliens, or the alien, or the telekinetic guy in Infinity War. Yeah, I'm not sure who. Yeah, these 2 on the ends, these ones baffle me. These 4, these 6, I'm pretty sure about. The Grandal, Asmodean, Lanfear, Ishamael, Samael, and Cimarag. Cimarag mainly because of the hair. Like it's kind of like like very like Egyptian-esque, and Samael because of the beard and because he's kind of short. And it seems like he's pounding his fist into his palm. And Lanfear, it's more just she's kind of tall and has that long hair. And Asmodean, I unless the show told me this was Ishamael, I wouldn't necessarily know that this was Ishamael, because it kind of just looks like a Trolloc. Kind of looks like a lion face, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to tell what they're going for there.
Kind of looks like a beetle to me.
You know what? Yeah, actually, kind of does. I don't think there's anything else to really talk about with this. I am not excited for episode 6. I get the feeling that this is going to go way off the rails. But we will watch it on Thursday, and I will try my best to release. I will try to release all. I think I have released all of the commentaries at this point for Wheel of Time so far. So if you want to watch our live reactions to each of the episodes in lieu of watching the actual episodes themselves, that's actually perfectly like I can, because I have them all on Rumble under personal use. You can just watch them for free, and nothing's gonna bad is gonna happen to me, thankfully. And I'll also be releasing How the Grinch Stole Christmas and Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Home Alone on Rumble for you guys. Other than that, I don't think we have anything else to say. I just hope that this doesn't get worse.
It's already shit.
Well, I get the feeling that it can always get worse.
Always.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it is only appropriate that we should end on Daniel Green being a goober.
I'll say it again with my chest for the people sitting in back. The Wheel of Time!